Oh man, I just fucking noticed it says I was supposed to start at 9 a.m. I intended for it to start I intended for this stream to start at 9:30, not fucking 9 a.m. Holy fuck, I feel uh I feel a little bit terrible, but I'm gonna get into that in a second. Why the fuck was it set to 9 a.m. and not 9:30? I don't. That's my bad. The stream was supposed to start now, not like half an hour earlier. Sorry for that. And I need to plug in my. I need to plug in my phone so it doesn't die, so I can see the chat. So give me a second here. Okay, and I am back. So there hasn't been a stream for like 3 fucking weeks by now, and the reason for that is simple. I have been sick. I am still sick, but at this point I ran out of things to edit, so I just decided, fuck it, I will go live kind of sick, and because I need to record the material anyway, I don't wanna leave my channel dry. I seen that people made some suggestions in the meantime, and I know there are other suggestions, but right now I am just not taking suggestions because there's too much stuff going on. So I'm just sticking to whatever the fuck I had piled on already and like the standard things I react to. So yeah, basically like that. Basically, as soon as I turned off the stream, like those 3.5 weeks ago or something, like the very next day, my throat was completely dead. I and my throat like has been unusable for a week and a half after that, and it's been 3.5 weeks now, and it's still, I can feel that it's not healed yet. I've been to a doctor in the meantime. She said it's just like irritated and I have to wait more. And I have never had a sore throat for so long. It feels so fucking bad. Um, but hopefully it's not like something much worse, because like a normal sore throat doesn't last for so long. And so if I sound a little different, that's it. As I've been editing like those couple of last videos from that last stream, I only now noticed, yeah, I sounded fucking different in those last streams, man. And yeah, that's why I've been away. I haven't been like doing as much stuff on the channel. Uh, this fucking sucks so hard because right before I got sick, I wrote a script for like a like a miniature review for Alien Isolation, because I bit it in the meantime, and my throat gave out on me on the day I was supposed to record the audio for that, and I just have my entire fucking playthrough of Alien Isolation recorded sitting on my PC. I'm gonna take a quick peek, like how long that is actually. I mean, how much it weighs. There we go. It's 40 fucking gigabytes of recordings, man. And I cannot do anything with that until I record my script. Only times I had a long illness, it was lung related. Yeah, lungs. Lungs, the throat, and I think like the ears are pretty bad when it comes to that. And they're really bad also because some like very long illnesses you can kind of tank, but when it's your throat or your lungs or your ears, your day-to-day life gets significantly impacted for all of that illness, and that fucking blows. And yeah, I've been taking like those forgot what they're called in English, it's a very specific name. Those drops you suck on for the throat. The doc gave me something for the cough because supposedly when you cough and you had a sore throat, it irritates it. So it's a vicious circle where your throat is getting better, but you cough, you irritate it, and because you feel the irritation in your throat, you start coughing again and you irritate it again, and it just keeps going, and you have that like on the back of the throat. Basically, you have um uh you just have an injury even if your throat, even if the bacteria are not there anymore. Oh yeah, they all taste quite bad. That's true. Man, the ones that I was sucking on when it started tasted like, I don't know if you know how liquid soap, uh, honey scented liquid soap kind of smells. Those tablets that I was sucking on literally tasted like that smell. It was fucking awful. Now I have a mint ones that aren't that bad, to be honest. They just kind of taste like mouthwash. Okay, so yeah, as for today's stream, I have some things to react to. Obviously, for today, I think I'm gonna get through like 4 videos or more. But the ones I have planned for sure are Fallout 1 review by Warlock Racy, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Edition review by Bricky, Ross's Game Dungeon The Journeyman Project, and the Stronghold Crusader review by MandaloreGaming. And if we make it through that, I will pick something like short from the rest of the list maybe, and try to get through that too. So yeah, let's get into it, shall we? Fallout 1. Oh boy, Fallout 1 is an exceptional RPG, man. Character RPG to be precise. I played a bunch of Stronghold as a child, pretty much. And I don't remember that much of it. I remember the Polish dubbing being fucking exceptional. So I kinda wanna relive some of those memories via that video. That's why I picked it. But yeah, Fallout 1, man, what a good ass CRPG. I played Fallout 1 for the first time literally like a couple of years ago. Okay, not for the first time. I tried Fallout 1 way, way, way earlier when I was a little bit less of a patient person and I couldn't get through it at all. But then when I became an adult, I retried it and I played through all of it. Holy fuck, Fallout 1 is a really cool and interesting setting. Unfortunately, the game kinda sucks. I mean, like, Fallout 1 has the essential problems of being a first game in any franchise. So a lot of aspects of Fallout 1 are very undercooked, and they fucking cooked in Fallout 2 after that. Oh yeah, H Bomber guys, video on Fallout New Vegas. I don't know if I ever saw it. I did see his video on why Fallout 3 sucks because I don't really know. I don't really need to know why Fallout New Vegas is genius because I know. But Fallout 3, I remember I still haven't beaten Fallout 3. I think when I was doing good for the first time in my life in Fallout 3, when I was finally going to get through the game. Whoops, I'm getting a call. When I was finally going to get through the game, suddenly I encountered some fucking game breaking shit, and I think I gave up because I just couldn't get through with it. So I watched the H Bomber guy video to know what basically happens in the rest of the game. And yeah, I gotta take this call, so I'll be right back, guys. Man, oh man, there's just fucking something happening. God damn. Every second isn't there. So yeah, like I said, Fallout 1 definitely had issues that Fallout 2 mostly fixed, but it still was an introduction to this incredible fucking world and franchise and lore, especially like the stuff with the main villain and everything. That was just excellent, man. But yeah, I expect Warlock Crazy to go at length into like issues of playing this kind of nowadays, because it's such a product of it's such a product of its time. This game didn't fuck around. You really had to pay attention to what NPCs were saying and what directions they were giving you, and you just kind of had to wander around to find your objectives. That there weren't like weren't really pointed out for you on the map or anything. I even remember vaguely in the first like real town where you get your first companion, there is a underground sewer system that goes on for like literally a fucking hour of shooting at different sizes of rats. And I went down there when I first played this game because it was just available, and there is like literally no quest tied to that. There is a unique monster at the bottom, but there is no reason to go and do that, and I have no fucking idea why they modeled that entire dungeon there. uh Fallout 1 was fucking wild, man.
Got a problem. A big one.
Water chip broke. Human bodies are 60% water. No water, no vault. We have 150 days to find a spare water chip. If we fail, the game is over. Well, let's not fail then. Here's our fact sheet. Fallout was made in 1997. That's a year before Baldur's Gate and a decade before Mass Effect. The game is both very influential and tragically misunderstood. Influential because it inspired a great number of RPG philosophies. We'll talk about some of them. And misunderstood because its gameplay formula is not replicated often. There are few authentic Fallout likes. Anyway, the reason it's called Fallout 1 is because it only has one build, the agility build. There is no
What? Oh man, when it comes to build, I don't remember what I did. I think I just went into big guns and then energy weapons into, or the other way around. But I don't remember if I put too many points in agility. I don't know. Fallout 1 and 2 had a bunch of fucking skills. I have no idea what Outdoorsman does. I literally beat this entire game and I still have no fucking idea what Outdoorsman does. There are two skills for healing. I think first aid was like you could for free attempt to fix up yourself or your partner. And it failed. It failed every fucking time, even though I had it pretty high, I remember. And I got fed up and stopped putting like any points into it. Throwing was pretty fucking useless. Because throwing weapons kinda sucked. Melee weapons kinda sucked from what I remember. I don't remember if unarmed is good. I don't think so. Like there's a bunch of this sneaking I never used. Lockpick, obviously essential for like extra loot. There were a bunch of stupid fucking traps, and disarming traps also gave you XP, so traps was pretty good. I don't think speech was as good as, like, for example, in New Vegas. And the Fallout 1 had Jinxed. I believe it was you had a chance for critical failure, but so did the enemies. I never wanted to add more RNG, so I just so I stayed the fuck away from that. Fallout 1 and 2 had a bunch of perks that actually had drawbacks. They nerfed that aspect going forward into the 3D games. Like, there were way less perks that actually gave you negatives. Oh yeah, those X had a bunch of fucking useless statistics. Man, the swimming shit in those X was hilarious. It's like they put that into the game and they forgot to add like actual water, so you can only swim at the Liberty Island.
No reason not to have 9 or 10 points in agility unless you are intentionally making the game harder. Charisma is not very important in Fallout 1 because it doesn't determine the companion limit, and the companions themselves are mechanically and narratively weak. Unfortunately, the game doesn't have much in a way of unarmed exclusive content. It's a viable, but a boring way to play. Elite gamer tip: if you let the enemy initiate combat, you'll get to move twice in a row. Use this knowledge to blast the tutorial rats extra hard. To the west, you see natural light. For the first time in your life, you see the outside world. The Overseer.
The music, man, the music was actually so good and atmospheric.
Marked our map with the location of another vault. That's where we should go. On our way to Vault 15, we stumble upon a village in the wasteland.
Hi. I heard there was a traveler in town, but I was kind of skeptical until I saw you. My name's Tandy. What's yours?
Welcome to Shady Sands, stranger. Please holster your weapon while you are here. Stone buildings, no roads, few comforts. So far, the wasteland community fails to impress a sophisticated vault dweller. Did the GAC malfunction or something?
Finally, someone else who sees. Of course, you've probably been everywhere.
Tandy has quite a political career ahead of her, but that's decades from now. It feels weird to think that she used to be hot. It's like looking at pictures of young Hillary. You know, it's different today, but back in the late 90s, when exposed to the aesthetic of Fallout, the first word that came to mind was...
Did you ever try an Intelligence 1 playthrough? No. I know that you get like special dialogue for basically everything in the game, and that's fucking hilarious. But to be fair, Fallout 1 is not a game I would be willing to replay. I think it's an exceptional experience and everyone should play it if they have like interest in turn-based RPGs. But I can't imagine replaying it. There is so much shit I didn't enjoy along the way, and like low intelligence playthrough is only good if you already beaten the game and you know what to do, because low intelligence you don't get to interact with some characters. They just you come up to them, say something, and they are, who the fuck is this guy? I don't want to see him ever again, or they straight up engage with you in combat. So it's very not recommended for beginners. Int 1 actually made Fallout 2 super easy. Being stupid not only gave you a ton of extra points for stat, but it auto-passed most charisma checks since people thought you were too dumb to lie. There is a... I don't remember if it's Fallout 1 or 2. Maybe both of them. I watched a guy speedrun all of the Fallout games in order. and playing low intelligence is essential for speedrunning either Fallout 1 and 2, because you can go to the very last place in the game and you get a dumb low intelligence speech check that instantly the guard instantly lets you into the military base, and you can just go straight to the end of the game from there. It's fucking hilarious. But I don't remember if it was specific. I think it was 2. I think it was Fallout 2. Yeah, in Fallout 1, the strategy was to go straight into that church, pickpocket the key of a guy and a robe, and go and immediately meet the master. Yeah, that's the strategy for 1. So yeah, it was definitely 2.
Realism. Compared to the contemporary RPGs, this game was very grounded, both in terms of its visuals and world building. Wizardry was about chasing Dark Savant's black ship with a cyber Valkyrie GF and an army of anthropomorphic rhinoceri. Fallout was about real people with real problems. If our character was proficient in science, we could have told the farmer about the concept of crop rotation and help the community that way. But even without points in science, it's still possible to do that by using the Tell Me About feature. Fallout inherited it from Wasteland, where communication was prompt-based. The feature was removed in the sequel. None of the subsequent games have it. You can use it to ask a question or to communicate things to an NPC. Kinda stupid, kinda cool.
It is kinda cool. I never used it. I literally, throughout my entire playthrough of Fallout 1, I never had a cool idea to use it. And every time I thought I am onto something, I used this, typed this in, and they were like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. And I was like, okay, this is stupid. I'm just gonna use the prompts I have.
Brahma pens are north, although the smell...
Notice he says Brahma, not Brahmin, a regional dialect. These losers are the Shady Sands Self-Defense Militia. The MandaloreGaming military history begins here. The guy in the leather jacket is Ian, our first companion. The follower system and their personalities are rudimentary. Fallout 1 can't be played as a party-based game, but Fallout 2 can. That game has 2 builds. Thus the name, I guess. It's time we bring back that ancient debate.
Damn. Okay, Fallout 2 has at least 3 builds, because you have the charisma for the big party, and you can have either big weapons or energy weapons, because theoretically you can run energy weapons and get the alien blaster from the Easter egg. Oh, that requires high luck, I think, too. Okay, Fallout 2 has 2 viable builds, I guess.
What is better, Fallout 1 or Fallout 2? Today we'll decide once and for all. And right away, the second game gets a point for having twice as many builds. The CRPG excellence. But enough distractions. We have a job to do.
Me? Lee?
The game that implemented that mechanic the best, I think, was Harvester, because the NPC interaction in that was fantastic. Don't know that game. You could use the text input to re-ask questions you already gone over and were removed from the dialogue trees. That's really cool. I never did that. But that's really cool, actually. You could also try to sleep with people, and the devs actually accounted for the player trying that with text prompts. That feature had so much... I understand completely why they scrapped it. They put so much love into that feature, and I bet a bunch of players never actually used it. Or if they used it, they just failed, like me. and they got discouraged from trying it again. So I completely understand why it's absent in Fallout 2. It's cool, but it's very obtuse.
Leave? I wish. I don't know enough to leave alone. No one else wants to go. And worst of all, my father says he would have a heart attack.
I meant you could do that in Harvester. Yeah, I got the gist of it. I just don't know the game Harvester. There were quite a few games that allowed you to do that. We even watched that very weird Ross's Game Dungeon game. I mean, old games were all about prompts. If you really wanna go that far back, there were games that were entirely made just out of command prompts, and some of them were, you could say, were very fucking obtuse. That's why this mechanic is only a gimmick in modern games, if it's there at all.
If something happened to me.
Vault 15 and its consequences have been a disaster for California. The population was a mix of radically diverse ideologies. The subsequent conflicts led to the emergence of several violent raider societies, and a somewhat progressive village of Shady Sands that will eventually become NCR. Basically, Fallout predicted something awful. Manifesting the spirit of Vault 15, our companion Ian breaks the game by getting stuck in a doorframe. You can't push NPCs out of the way in Fallout 1, so I had to reload.
Yup, classic. They only added that in 2. That was so fucking annoying, especially when you were going into claustrophobic vaults and caves.
A save. There is something called Fallout at 2, which is an engine conversion that brings the functionality of Fallout 2 into the first game, including the ability to push away NPCs. The vault command and control is buried under rubble. We'll have to look for the water chip elsewhere. Well, I never thought it's gonna be easy.
Take this spear. It was found where my daughter was last seen. Seth and I believe one of the raider clans is responsible.
Thank Dharma you're here, Wanderer. My girl, Tandy, has been kidnapped, says the gate guard. The Wasteland Raiders base is less than a day away. Meet the Khans, one of the raider gangs that emerged from Vault 15. I love the music track. What do you offer for her release? Asks the leader of the raiders. It might be good for your eternal soul, says the Vault Dweller. But Garl Deathhand is not a spiritual man.
Well, what's your plan?
Duck and cover.
That's your plan?
The 10mm submachine gun can handle any early game threat no problem. Fallout 1 is reasonably generous with equipment. This is where Ian fell, an ex-mercenary from the Crimson Caravan who stayed in Shady Sands because the locals were nice to him. Never speak ill of the dead and all that, but he really isn't very useful past this point anyway. Tandy joins us.
Oh yeah, and I think in both Fallout 1 and 2, companions died permanently. This feature really sucked, because this feature really sucked for one reason. You couldn't bring dog meat with you till the end of the game, because he would get fucking one-shotted by late game enemies, and you couldn't do anything to prevent that. And like, putting dog meat in that situation kinda sucks, so I always like left him at some point, which, you know, because he's a non-humanoid, so you cannot give him better armor, which kinda fucking sucks.
As a temporary companion, she will never leave until you go back to the village. You can take her on a tour of the wasteland if you want.
Going back to Fallout 1, I hope he chose Bloody Mess for the ending. Oh yeah. Man, that ending, I don't remember if it's decided by your karma or what you pick in the dialogue tree. But I think I got the one where you just shoot the guy literally in front of you.
Oh, that was
I
great.
never understood why did the head honcho of your vault even step out of the vault to talk to you? Like, he could have said that over the intercom.
Great action, adventure. Anyway, if there's anything that I can do for you,
There is a dialogue option to attempt to solicit sexual favors from Tandy, but that won't work. She only f***s cops.
May the water you find in the desert
Damn.
not shine at you in the dark.
Fraternal assistance to the brotherly people. The existence and the relative prosperity of Shady Sands kinda defangs the game's promise, doesn't it? The locals are friendly enough. There is no reason for the story to end should the vault run out of drinking water. We can just move in with these guys. There is a Polish fan game called V13 that briefly explores a similar idea. Our vault has 133 days of water left. The search for the chip continues. We looted all sorts of garbage from the raiders, and now we need to find someone to sell it to. 'Cause, one person's junk is another Segway.
Get your butt in here and sit down. We got some business to discuss.
A medium-sized town surrounded by a wall of wrecked cars. That's the description provided by the info box. But how do we even know what a medium-sized town is? We've only been in like 2 places. The location design is sometimes viewed as one of the strengths of Fallout 1 compared to the sequel. No stupid-ass talking Deathclaw vault in this one. And you know what? That's fair. But the first game has problems as well. It feels like the developers didn't quite figure out the best mapping practices yet. This is especially noticeable in Shady Sands and here in Junktown. It is as if there is a layer of detail missing. The buildings are way too far apart, making the maps annoying to navigate, visually boring, and frankly irrational. These are walled settlements. Real estate should be precious. In comparison, the Fallout 2 maps are more detailed, but not too detailed so that they would be annoying to read. Another point for the glorious sequel.
Kinda
Killian
true.
Darkwater's general store.
We got about everything you can need.
Talking to Killian triggers a cutscene. The world's smartest assassin walks in alone, declares his intention to murder our host, and then promptly gets ventilated by Killian's 3 guards.
I know Gizmo's behind this.
The mayor is a due process kind of person, so we
Unconscious is only removed by waiting turns, not resting, so he ran away. Oh, okay. There was a very famous stream clip I saw from a guy who thought his companion was dead when he was just unconscious. He literally rested next to him for days hoping he would get up, but he didn't. However, unconscious is only removed by waiting turns, not resting. So when he ran away, the guy sprinted after him after days of being dead. The talking Deathclaws were real weird. How did your companion manage to hide his appearance under that robe? I don't buy it. Yeah, there was some. They went insane style with some of Fallout 2, but I don't mind because it paid off. Because it paid off with a lot of very memorable moments and some awkwardness with like the talking Deathclaw vault. San Francisco was also very fucking weird because it was populated by Chinese people, and the lore was that they like waited out the nukes in a submarine, I think, and it was basically every time you came up to an NPC in San Francisco, he said something very vaguely racist. So Fallout 2 was a product of its time in certain regards. But then you have like the necropolis and the like that entire section in the training facility of the Enclave. There are New Reno, holy fuck, there are so many cool ass locations in Fallout 2. Fallout 1 is very forgettable in my opinion. Oh, and yeah, there is that side quest in Fallout 2 also where villagers are eating Deathclaw eggs, and he's like in a chicken coop. And that was very goofy and very unrealistic, but I always find that side quest so fucking funny.
Need to obtain proofs to convince the people of Junktown that Gizmo is up to no good. And here is our second companion, Dogmeat, the original. His owner passed away. The dog is depressed, and now it wages a one-canine war on random residents of Junktown. Gizmo is represented by a unique sprite, so clearly he's important. He also can't move, so mechanically speaking, the table is a part of his body.
I don't take kindly to strangers walking into my office and accusing me.
There are two ways of getting the evidence. You can either plant a bug on him with the steal skill, or make him confess via a speech check. Before we finalize this, we should get the most useful human companion in the game. Tycho is a desert ranger. Yeah, one of those. Came here all the way from Nevada. Lead on, my friend, and let's do some street sweeping. I recommend knocking over Gizmo, if I may. Your wish is my command. Dogmeat bites the table, damaging Gizmo for 4 hit points. More like Janktown, am I right? A unique death animation to celebrate a problem solved. What you do in this game is go from place to place and solve ethical problems. The Junktown affair is sometimes presented as a unit of Fallout. Let's talk about some of the conversations this game launched. Choices and consequences. This happens again and again. Individuals isolate one of the ideas of Fallout, they fall in love with it, they develop an entire philosophy from it, and then they create a game based on this philosophy. The Age of Decadence. The term choices and consequences was never properly defined, and through the ebbs and flows of the discourse, it eventually came to mean a type of design where you fork a story by selecting an option in dialogue. The Age of Decadence is one of my favorite games of all time, but a Fallout grog might say that, strictly speaking, it's a very elaborate misunderstanding of Fallout. And that might be true, but so what? Are you gonna call the philosophy cops about it? Narc. Choices and consequences. I give this idea an 8 out of 10 rating. Now, if you were a forums poster in the mid-2000s, chances are...
Yeah, Fallout 1 introduced that cool idea where... well, mechanically speaking, there were no consequences in Fallout 1. Usually. That Junktown is a good example of that. You can like either help the fat guy or help the sheriff, and whoever is left standing at the end of the game, you get a unique slide for that town depicting what happened later. And like that's the only difference, other than which NPC is still alive at the end of the questline, obviously. But there weren't that many consequences to Fallout's choices, but still, it felt fucking good when you ended the game and you had that entire slideshow of everything you did. I still think that the design is genius. Like, nothing in the game really changes. The developers don't have to make too much new assets or like new dialogue trees or whatever, and you still feel like the game, like you impacted the game world at the end of your like journey. It was really fucking creative, like that slideshow approach to endings. I always loved it. Gizmo literally has no sprites for standing. It's hilarious. Yeah, I remember like he has that animation from attacking you with his gun from his seat. It's fucking hilarious. I never heard of Age of Decadence. Same. Fallout 1 reserved its consequences for endings mostly. Yep, that's literally it. Had a fun callback to that after beating Rogue Trader. They had slides for every notable character, companion, and faction. Yup, that slideshow approach is still very much well and alive, and I am very happy for that because, like I said, it just feels good. From games that I played that had something similar, Chernobylite did have like ending slides for every single one of your companions, and that felt really fucking good.
You were a believer in the ideology of system supremacy. The most important part of an RPG is its role-play system. The more thaco we put into this thing, the more of an RPG it is. This made a lot of sense back then. The RPGs produced during that era lost much of their mechanical complexity, and predictably this created resentment, followed by protest and posting. This guy's name is Jacques Derrida. To my knowledge, he didn't play CRPGs, but he wrote a lot of books. Derrida was very upset that people around him seemed to prioritize speech over writing, the spoken word over written word. I don't think we have this problem in the age of smartphone and social media, but things were different in Derrida's time, and this annoyed him a great deal. In the system supremacy theory, individuals would prioritize the RPG in CRPG. Visual art, music, voice acting. Sure, you can have that, if you must, but the heart of the experience is its systems and formulas. The ambassador of these ideas is a controversial CRPG Swordflight, created using the Neverwinter 1 toolset. It's controversial because of its high difficulty. Swordflight is cleverly balanced around the use of consumables. It's a very good game, but there is a...
Also never heard about this one.
Problem with Swordflight. It's the world's biggest sewer level. The first two installments include dozens of hours of sewer adventure, and even the outdoor segments are designed to be maze-like and...
That fucking sucks, man. Environments are really important. Fallout also got away with that because it's a fucking wasteland. They tell you right off the bat, this game takes a place in a wasteland, don't expect to see the sights. And then they pulled one over you because some locations actually look pretty interesting and fucking pretty. So you were like, oh, I expected wastelands, but this location is actually kinda cool. So when the level was boring, you internalized in your head, it's supposed to be boring. It's a wasteland. But if the level got interesting, the game got extra points for surprising you. It was quite the fucking move, to say the least. Same thing went for Underrail, the game I kinda reviewed in one of my videos about the game's Theft Syntax. Recommended that I bought. Underrail did exactly the same thing. The entire game takes place in a metro, so you don't expect to see like many cool sights, and then the game surprises you via some locations that are extremely fucking pretty. If you go into an RPG like this, just a normal fantasy world thing, I don't expect to spend majority of the game in a fucking sewer, and if I do, it will severely negatively impact my experience. So you gotta really think about that shit when you're making a game, man. Not gonna lie, after Rogue Trader, I believe there is such a thing as having too much RPG because the game managed to make leveling up boring. You needed to manually do skill level ups every time. Level and every companion, you would level up 55 times in total. Holy shit. Yeah, I do agree that there is such a thing as too much on your plate,
sewery so that they don't violate the theme, I guess. I should have known. When I saw Lilura evangelizing the virtues of swordflight to an audience of 0 people on the game FAQ's message boards, I should have known something was up. I give the systems theory 8 out of 10 points. Base Lilura f***ing everyone in the ass again. 125 days. The hub is a major trading center in the wasteland. It's bigger than all the previous locations combined. But the people of the hub had no life, and it was a desolate place just the same.
Spare change, old friend, old pal? Can you help a poor mutant down on his luck?
Sights to see. The bookstore. This is where you convert bottle caps into skill points in the science, repair, and other skills. An important money sink. Jacob the Trader used to be in the Union of Atomic Workers, a Brotherhood of Steel-like faction wiped out by mutants years ago. The organization is never mentioned again, and its purpose is to explain why he has so much advanced technology in stock. This is the first time we see a heavy weapon. The Fargo traders have a problem. Their caravans keep disappearing.
Some say it's the Deathclaw.
The Hound of Bakersfield. The Deathclaw is the most evil thing to rise out of the ashes after the war. Some say it's a ghost that haunts the land. It's no ghost. Harold the Merchant saw it with his own eye.
Ooh, that thing. Friend, that is Nightmare City. Why the hell are you asking about that?
I love the talking heads of Fallout 1 and 2. They are so fucking cool, and the artwork behind them and how they actually made those, I believe they made those were like clay sculptures, is so fucking cool. I love looking at behind the scenes of the first 2 Fallouts.
Kill it! Our first Deathclaw, and the unconscious body next to it is our first super mutant. The creature is an HP brick. It's fast and deals a ton of damage. We are armed with baby weapons. Typically in a situation like this, you want to go for the eyes, but there is a problem with that.
You can't look at him. It is said the Deathclaw can hypnotize just by looking. Then it walks up and boom, you're it.
It's nothing as dramatic, but I wasn't able to blind the creature this way, so I shot it in the leg instead. That works.
Yeah, I personally, I always go for the legs, especially like in 3D Fallouts, when you're going up against someone who will massacre you if they get close, especially Deathclaws, since they're melee only. Just bust their fucking kneecaps and they will never catch up to you anyway, so then you can just then you can dwindle their HP with your baby ass weapons.
Dogmeat landed the final blow. The canine is already more useful than Ian, may God rest his soul. The super mutant is not long for this world either. The creature is incoherent. Father, where are you, father?
I never did this I never did this side quest. I never met this particular super mutant. That's very interesting.
Yes, Master. The holodisc found on the body reveals that the mutant was part of some sort of a spec ops team that hunts caravans and kidnaps humans. The Deathclaw was innocent. 120 days. That's the Maltese Falcon, the wasteland mafia den.
There's a certain merchant who's, how to phrase this, not cooperating fully with the underground.
Decker the crime man heard about our adventures in Junktown, and he hires us on the spot. The gangster quest line gives us a reason to explore some of the side areas of the hub, like the upper class district. You can snipe the merchant from this window here.
You see, the last job I gave you was a test.
The mafioso will then ask the Vault Dweller to kill the High Priestess Jane of the Children of the Cathedral, a humanitarian organization from LA. They operate a hospital in the Water Merchants District, a very strange hospital. The patients are lying on the floor and babbling incoherently about holy flame.
Have you studied the sacraments, child?
Yes?
Then you should know high elders of the cathedral do not just hand out blessings.
It's not my job to educate you. We can get a lot more out of this character by using the Ask Me About feature. Tell me, Jane, who is the Master?
There is no master but the Holy Flame. He is our master. He is the master of all.
What do you know about mutants?
They are holy, for they bear marks of past sins for present witnesses.
Past sins, like the war?
The inattention by those who came before caused the holy fires.
See, that's what I mean. This is too much of unique dialogue hidden behind fucking prompts that you may not think about. Especially since this is a voiced talking head, because some NPCs just don't have a voice, it's just pure text, right? But this is cool stuff that I missed out on because I was discouraged from using the Tell Me About feature. It's quite a shame,
It was justice.
in my opinion.
The characters in this game don't have a lot of dialogue. Fallout 1 is praised for its concise writing, but if you are intrigued by a person, you can usually extract more information from them via the Tell Me About feature. Unfortunately, it's missing from the subsequent games. We need like Fallout 2 but in reverse. A point for Fallout 1. Finally, I was getting worried. The patients
I
get up
don't
to
know
protect
if,
Jane from infidels, but they ain't much of a threat. Jane's bodyguard, however, is. Tycho has no problems gunning down unarmed civilians. That's the office of the water merchants. We can hire a caravan with supplies for Vault 13, extending the time limit, but I don't want the location of the vault to be discovered by the wrong people. You know what? We should upgrade our weapon. The best small gun in the game can be acquired via the quest given by this guy standing in the ruin near the Falcon. The job is to kill the raiders in the farmhouse. One of the bodies on the floor is Tycho. Yeah, rep. The reward is the 223 pistol, aka that gun from Vegas. In Fallout 1, it's a unique weapon. You can finish the game with it if you want. The final quest in the Decker chain is us ratting him out to the cops. This is
Hidden dialogue shouldn't hide valuable descriptions like this. It's fine for Harvester to have an entire cutscene that's only activated when you type aliens to a hillbilly. However, that isn't relevant to the story, unlike everything she just said. That is very true. Like, that context, it's crazy how much Fallout 1 context is hidden, like, behind those prompts. And like that side quest I just learned about because I couldn't find the Deathclaw on my own and I didn't want to use the fucking guide. That side quest with the mutants gives you a little bit of a context too. But I guess at the end of the game, when you that's the crux of it. If you manage to talk to Master, you can get also that context, but theoretically you can, by accident, skip out on all of the story while doing the main story. Fallout 1 was fucking weird for that, man.
a sophisticated encounter. Decker himself is a rare throwing knife user and is essentially harmless. But this guy, Kane, his second in command, might be the single most dangerous melee combatant in this entire campaign. My strategy for the fight is to shoot Kane in the leg to slow him down, and then allow the cops and Dogmeat to soak up damage while I take pot shots from the safety of the back room. This eventually worked. Unfortunately, Kane tore apart Dogmeat with his bare hands.
Classic.
The sheriff got killed as well, but his assistant gives us the reward no problem. 115 days. Our best...
Man, for me personally, every time Dogmeat died, I would just reload the save. I don't know. I really fucking liked Dogmeat, man.
Bet is Vault 12, located in the nearby ghoul city of Necropolis. The ghouls trade with humans, so the safest way of getting there is by working with one of the caravan companies here in the hub. Crimson Caravan pays the best.
Listen, Walker, I don't...
At least there's a clue with the mutant. The problem with text prompts is you don't know what you can or cannot ask them. Yeah, and most of the time you had an idea for the text prompt. It's probably going to be I don't know anything about that, or I don't know what you're talking about, because you aren't the developer of this fucking game. You don't think like he does. And that's the problem. Like, you as a person can have such a wildly different interpretation of a character, event, or a question, or what a character might know. It's really a fool's errand to try and implement a system like this, because, like I said, most people just don't think like the devs of the video game do, for the most part. So
I deal with norms, so blowing smoke up the tail ain't gonna get you head seat at the table.
Bakersfield, aka Necropolis, 105 days. The merchant says they're gonna be heading back to the hub in a few hours, but I don't think we'll be going with them. We do eventually find a group of peaceful ghouls who present us with the moral dilemma of Bakersfield. Yes, the locals are in possession of a computerized water purification system, but if we take their water chip, the community here will die. Unless we repair the town's water pump, creating an alternative way for them to get water.
There'd better be a killer reason for standing in my shadow. Does next on the menu ring a bell for ya? Normie.
I'm no normie. I'm schizo. PMC hogtard.
The mutants at the watershed need dirt naps. Makes my shadow grow.
The plot lines converge on the water pump. The good guy ghouls want us to repair it, the bad guy ghouls want us to kill the mutants occupying it, and we want to recover the water chip from the vault accessible from this location.
Or to say, not ghoul, not be here.
Well, I'll be leaving then.
Oh. Okay. Have nice day.
You know, maybe we should take this opportunity to learn more about the mutant community. Who is the master?
I don't know, but think he like a boss people.
What is the unity?
I don't know.
This conversation provides an option to do one hell of a sequence break. We can ask Harry to take us to their leader, who is one of the two endgame adversaries of Fallout, residing at a military base at the edge of the map.
Okay. Take it to Lou.
Getting there takes more than a week of in-game time, but from the player's point of view it's instantaneous, which is a little jarring, feels like you are being teleported. It's a narrative design mistake. As the industry grew in size, more and more people were indoctrinated into the video gamer and the video game discourser lifestyles. The previous ideas were reductionist. You isolate a handful of qualities these games possess, and then you obsess over them. Narrative design was the opposite. It was about examining the game as a sum of its parts. Everything is important. And that sounds great. Finally, a foolproof theory to save RPGs. So one day, an upstart company called Obsidian releases a video game, Fallout New Vegas, based on Bethesda's hit franchise Fallout. Narrative philosophers from the popular show Extra Credits subject the game to thinkery and analysis. And they are disappointed. New Vegas is not good enough. Actually, it's hard to identify the main idea in this mess of a script. Like, they keep asking for features the game already has. They seem to be under the impression that the protagonist of New Vegas has amnesia, which they don't. TLDR, basically they want the game to focus less on the world and more on the player. Be less like Morrowind and more like Skyrim, or like the sensational game Fallout the Frontier. Wait, is this why the New Vegas mods are the way they are? YouTubers. That's the problem in a nutshell. The grand idea was fine, but a lot of these gamer philosophy enthusiasts lacked RPG-specific knowledge, and they kept...
I never saw that. Extra Credits did some... Extra Credits, in my opinion, is of poor quality, let's say that. But I never saw that video. What the fuck? I only ever saw like videos praising New Vegas. Obviously, New Vegas has its problems, but like as a 3D kind of a CRPG spiritual successor thing, it's fucking excellent. One of the best even. So damn. The classic, I don't know how the devs wanted me to phrase this. I saw it a very long time ago and remember very little about it. I'm assuming you're talking about the video. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Trying to morph role-playing games into something Mass Effect-shaped. Shepard, you are the Reapers. I give it 85 out of 100 points.
Oh, this is excellent. You know, I actually doubted my officers when they said they'd captured a prime normal.
The Lieutenant is a cybernetically enhanced super mutant intellectual in charge of the operations here at Mariposa.
The super mutant is the next advancement in human evolution. To save the world, we will convert all the worthy individuals.
That's the plot of the game. The pre-war scientists created a substance called FEV, Forced Evolutionary Virus. The Unity manufactures super mutants by kidnapping humans and dipping them in FEV. But there is a problem.
We are highly intelligent and...
The quality of mutations seem to depend on how irradiated the subject was. Common wastelanders make for suboptimal subs. Sometimes the process of transformation can even damage the intelligence of the subject, like it is the case with Harry. But individuals who were never exposed to radiation, people who've never even seen the outside world.
I can't have a perfectly good prime normal and not make it one of the chosen ones, now can I? After you tell me where your vault is.
Interesting fact, compounds that dramatically alter your body composition have existed IRL for a long time. And the lifestyle enthusiasts know that, well, the first question should always be, will my genitals still work after this is over?
We shall see, won't we?
That's not very reassuring, Lou. Our refusal to join the Unity is followed by a unique real-time combat sequence. We are not yet strong enough to kill the Lieutenant, so we flee to fight another day. The Vats. This is where they make new mutants.
I never did this sequence break too. That's wild. The only real criticism I would level at New Vegas would be technical issues and the ugly orange filter over the screen. Rip Tony J, a great voice actor who was everywhere in my childhood thanks to him voicing characters in Canadian shows. May he rest in peace. When it comes to New Vegas criticisms, yeah, technical issues definitely, but the problem is they were such fucking ugly technical issues. It's hard to just hand wave them as, oh, there are some issues, like New Vegas has real issues, like issues that I haven't encountered in pretty much any game in the fucking franchise. Fallout 3 is a close second, but maybe that's because I played New Vegas more. But yeah, man, New Vegas is a fucking mess when it comes to technically how it runs and such.
The children of the cathedral serve as technicians, IT workers. They never actually confiscated our weapons, so... I'll be taking these robes, thank you very much. The control computer contains a private log of the man who created the Unity.
Richard Gray, Let a small group of us up there.
Harold is not a ghoul, by the way. He is an FEV mutant, exposed to a smaller dose of the virus when they found this place many years ago.
Richard Gray was a doctor.
A doctor of philosophy, perhaps. Certainly not a medical doctor, as we'll eventually discover. In the log, Gray explains how exposure to extreme amounts of FEV gave him extraordinary powers, and how he experimented on various animals that wandered into the base, merging them together into abominations. Some of the mutant encounters can be avoided by wearing a disguise, but the guards at the exit seem to be permanently hostile. Whatever, the big pistol is more than good enough. The mutants at the base exterior have to be fought without cover, so I was forced to consume our entire drug stockpile.
This is where I realized dog meat. Like, I need to let go of him. I remember this specific fucking base. There was a super mutant with a sniper rifle, and he kept one-shotting a dog meat from like a screen away. And you can't control your companions in this game, so dog meat would rush in to the guy at the booth, and he would get fucking sniped and killed from the back every single time. I had to like reload and let him go completely if I wanted for him to survive the playthrough, which yeah, it kind of sucks that you couldn't upgrade dog meat in any like significant capacity.
Getting addicted to a bunch of stuff. Whatever, it's temporary. We have to warn our people of what we learned here. 84 days.
Good. Ha! It's working, and it looks like we have a winner!
We don't have a winner just yet. We need to recover the chip first. An early Mariposa visit is entirely optional, but it is a fun detour. A quick pit stop at the hub to exchange our loot for skill books, and then back to Necropolis. 1 or 2 mutants at the water pump have flamethrowers, but most are unarmed. The vault is accessible via the sewer. This place is more destroyed than Vault 15. All the machines are dead, with the convenient exception of the water processing control computer. And here it is, our salvation. Since the water pump was repaired, the ghouls of Necropolis should be fine, even without the chip.
Well done. You've earned my sight, Walker.
Hey Seth, what do you know about the Master?
His meaning has no place here. None.
And the Unity?
Misguided ideals. Nothing to my sight. Nothing at all.
The story of the Bakersfield ghouls is continued in the fan game Fallout Dayglow, which is very good. Let's go home. We arrive with 2 months to spare. Fallout 1 ends after both super bosses are dead. Finding the water chip is not a requirement for finishing the game, but getting rid of the time limit is nice. Vault 13, the closest thing we have to a pre-war society, and oh my god is it boring. You spend some time on the interweb doing nothing of importance. The outside world is your teacher now. And that's command and control.
I wonder if you can stealth the sniper. No idea. My stealth was pretty fucking bad because for the most part I found the skill to be quite useless in Fallout 1. Obsidian never got past the technical stuff in my eyes. The After Alpha protocol, I will never associate them with bad performance. Why are 90% of Fallout fan games Russian? I have no idea. Like, I guess like East Europe really appreciated games that gave you the most bang for your buck, probably because we are poor as fuck. East Europe and of course Russia. So like things like Gothic that could be played for like those games were so fucking long and had so much content, and Fallout 1 and 2 obviously, so the games like really uh, were very important here, because you could pay for it once, just like you could pay for example, Resident Evil 1, 2, or 3, but you could play those games for so much longer in one playthrough before replaying all of it if you wanted to, for different outcomes, rather than just kinda replaying Resident Evil, the Resident Evil games, or like any other um or like any other, like, just straight shot single player titles. So I do think, like, there is a real thing to say about about like really long games that were popular in Eastern Europe and Russia. So that's probably why.
Overseer has 2 miniguns hidden in that thing.
I don't really understand it, but it looks like someone's generating new mutants.
Did you read my report? The Mariposa installation was converted to a mutant production facility.
Find and destroy this lab.
The game doesn't know how to react to our sequence break. Whatever. He's not the only one who is confused. Now, I'm gonna say something controversial. The way we build the monocled Krapager academia of the future is by talking about the definition of RPG. This conversation has a bad rap. If you ask an enthusiast to define RPG, they'll usually just end up producing a list of features of role-playing games that are of importance to them personally. Some say that such definitions are incomplete and thus bad. I disagree. If you pay attention to these conversations, you'll notice that certain ideas tend to repeat over and over again. Choices and consequences keep getting reinvented. People just like forking the story by clicking dialogue options. The systems theory goes out of favor and then comes back every few years. Systems? No thanks, says the YouTuber enlightened by his intelligence. Roleplay is about exploring an identity in social context. Well, actually, says an RPG lore beard, for the first 2 decades of their history, RPGs were fairly simple tactical games, and they sure weren't interested in exploring social anything. Take a step back, and you can see the general outline of what the tree of ideas of the future discipline might look like. And you might also notice that none of these theories do a good job of describing Fallout. The classic scene has been dead for a long time. Studios failed to reanimate it. Kickstarter failed to reanimate it. Indie developers failed to reanimate it. The medium was brought back by modders from the classic Fallout community. One of the most important figures is an individual from Siberia who I don't think even knows English. Which means that he didn't even read the blog of the industry veteran Jeff Fogel, who clearly says right here that art is slippery, and that the firmer you grasp, the sooner it slips out of your hands. So this unwashed hillbilly writes a design document that opens with a philosophy section where he outlines key ideas. Informed by these ideas, he then goes on to make a badass game. And then he does it again and again. What are you doing? Don't you even know that genres are marketing terms? This is embarrassing. 1 out of 10. Learn philosophy. Anyways, where were we?
I am very interested in those mods now. Those mods sound like a lot of fun, and I need to see if there are some like bootleg English translations. And in the meantime, I need to go to the bathroom, so excuse me for a second. And I am back. I can't vouch for every mod, but the community is usually pretty good about translating the good mods. Granted, good is relative because what one modder thinks is intuitive could be dream logic. True, true. Usually community works are, surprise, surprise, supported by the rest of the community, and usually there are like efforts to bring those cool unique mods to other like wider spread audiences. My phone is keeping me on my toes. It lulls me into a false sense of security by not having autocorrect work for a day or two. Then it starts working again with horrible results, so I have to catch it. Yeah, that happens to me too. That's so fucking weird, isn't it? I don't know why that happens. Okay, let's get back to it then.
So before confronting the endgame threat, we should acquire an endgame weapon.
This place is high-tech. There's things inside like you've never seen before. Oh, it's also radioactive.
Everyone in the wasteland knows about the Brotherhood, but nobody seems to know what the Brotherhood is. Few are allowed inside the bunker. Obviously, they possess advanced technology, and they're called the Brotherhood, so perhaps they can offer us fraternal assistance.
Well, I talked to the High Elder, and he said that not just anyone can join. He said you have to complete a quest first.
We are to travel to a dungeon at the edge of the world, brave the dangers, and bring back proof that we've been there. On our way to the glow, we stop by the cathedral, a majestic structure in the ruins of LA. The presence of Gothic elements suggests we're dealing with something pre-war, something old and...
The glow is cool in theory, but sucked to play. Yeah, there were like a bunch of dungeons that weren't that great in Fallout 1. And you also had to bring a rope with you fucking everywhere just in case. That was so annoying.
Evil. These people have a secret, but we are here for something else. The monks run a store. They sell anti-radiation supplies, and make sure you have a rope with you.
Yep.
Our actual destination is not far from the ruins of San Diego, which is not an explorable location in this game. Take anti-radiation drugs and use the rope to descend the crater. West Tech was a defense contractor and a research corporation involved in the development of power armor and FEV. The holodisc found on the body of the Brotherhood troop speaks of the dangers of the glow, but it's mostly just vibes. The invisible killer that is radiation can be managed by drugs. The automated defenses won't come online until we turn the power on. The loot is fantastic. Combat armor, energy weapons, big guns. But in order to fully explore the facility, we do have to turn on the lights. This has an effect of activating a new type of threat, combat robots. You deal with the robots by letting them surround you and throwing a pulse grenade at point blank. This requires no skill point investment, and this type of a weapon doesn't damage humans. Another holodisc found in the glow contains a reference to the Burrows, a community of sentient raccoons, products of West Tech FEV experimentation. I felt that its content was not appropriate to our Fallout universe, mainly based on its style and feel in the game and not on its artistic merit, so I did not approve its addition to the game, says Team Kane. Real people, real problems. We got what we came here for.
Yeah, Fallout 2 definitely went off the rails in that regard, but I liked it because 1 second you were listening to some of the darkest fucking stories like you could imagine in any way. And then like the next second there's a funny deathclaw in the chicken coop. And it's like, it bounced between bleakness and comedy like really well, I think. So like only some of those were misses. And Fallout 1, I think is a little bit bland by comparison because how monotone it tries to be with that real people, the real problems. That becomes so monotonous, like I forget half of the locations in that fucking game. Junkyard, oh my god, that's erased from my mind completely.
Well, that was when my granddad, Roger Maxon, led his soldiers here and started the Brotherhood. This is our home now.
The Brotherhood Bunker turns out to be one of the biggest towns in the game. There are just as many talking heads as in the hub. My only complaint is that this place is visually bland, but it has to be, I guess. The medical lab. We can perform surgeries to increase our main stats. This is well worth doing and surprisingly not too expensive. It'll take you multiple weeks to recover from the surgeries, so you better have the water chip quest done. That's our bunkmate. Are we a knight or a scribe?
All the mutants I've studied have been sterile. They can't breed with another creature.
You see what I mean? If Richard Gray had a PhD in sports science, the plot of this game would have never happened. In any case, now that the location of the vats of goo is known to us, we should strike first, before the mutant numbers grow out of control.
Not a bad plan. Tell you what, let me go try and beat it into the Elders.
The Elders place a unit of 3 paladins under our command. That's more help than anyone else has given us. The paladins are armed with heavy weapons and are helpful against the mutants guarding the exterior, whom we have already killed. In an early version of the game, they will also follow you inside and help deal with the interior guards, but this doesn't seem to happen in the Steam Fallout 1. Swing and a miss. You are so bad at this. Wow, maybe the mutant IQ is a bigger problem than I thought. The lieutenant is armed with a Gatling laser, one of the most powerful weapons in Fallout 1. We get a lucky crit that renders him unconscious. It also must have given Lou brain damage, because he no longer remembers that we met.
You know, I actually doubted my officers when they said they'd captured a prime normal.
I said, I'm not a normie, I'm schizo! Die! A Tarantino-esque, ultra-violent chapter finale. Going back to the Fallout 1 versus Fallout 2 debate, another argument in favor of the first game is that the developers clearly put extra effort into making combat encounters interesting. Gizmo, Kane, Jane, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's better than the sequel. Fallout 2 had something the first game lacked, and that is the tendency for spontaneous mass-scale violence. It's when you start a firefight in a casino, and then a stray bullet hits a passerby, and then an army of prostitutes join the battle, and then in the end the population of the city shrinks by 60%. You know what? Both games get a point for having excellent, underrated combat.
Fallout 2 definitely had better firefights. I am not even going to fucking entertain the idea that Fallout 1 had better encounters. Fallout 2 felt good to mow down all of those people, to give in to the primal instinct. Wait, what? The Steam's version's broken? That sucks pretty hard. The super mutants are really hard without the knights. I don't remember which version of the... I played Steam, but I think I was playing with some kind of mod that restores some of the cut content, because I remember you could do the quest. Again, I don't remember if it's Fallout 1 and 2 or 2. I always mix them up for some reason, because Fallout 1 is just so forgettable to me. There was a side quest with a guy who was selling human meat as like a mystery meat on his shish kebab. And you could rat him out to the authorities. But in the base game, that feature is missing, kinda. It was cut content, right? So I got annoyed with that and installed some patch that brought back a lot of cut content and bug fixes. So I think I was playing the patched Steam version of this game.
The computer in the operations room can be used to trigger the self-destruct. Yes, it was possible to do this the first time we visited, but I was afraid it might somehow break the Overseer's dialogue. We did it, guys. We are a team. Semper Fi. Are we a knight or a scribe? What if I want to be an elder? I'm thinking about going into politics. It is with a heavy heart that I must announce that not only are video games art, that by itself would have been manageable, but the classic role-playing games specifically are our equivalent of high art. And the signs are everywhere. People seem to believe that these old games are imbued with their current-day political values. All the time I get comments that imply that the classic Fallouts possess some sort of a puritanical anti-sex ideology, which is quite a take because the next most horny game after Baldur's Gate 3 is Fallout 2. Grapplers are high art because people appreciate them from a distance. Nobody plays them. These games are art because folks get emotional and irrational in their presence. Art is valuable. If you understand art, you are valuable for this society we live in. Excuse me. What? Yes? Who is this? I see. Yes. Instructions received, Mr.
Oh, he didn't have to fight the master. That's a different location. The master is in the cathedral in the city. And the military base is a completely different location. So those are like two different encounters. If you really think about it, the master, it makes more sense if the master was actually in that military base, because he's just kinda in the fucking cellar of a church, and it's so weird. But it is also possible to skip the master fight if you just don't get if you just don't go into his like side room. You can turn on the console to engage the self-destruct before you like even have a chance to speak to him, I think.
President.
I get them confused, and my mistake. Yeah, Fallout 1 is a little more forgettable than usually people think. Fallout 2 has a couple of those locations, but nowhere near as much, I think. Personally, obviously, everybody experience is a little bit different, but...
Cleave.
We've seen Morpheus and the Nightkin, and they don't look like peacemakers to us.
The city of Los Angeles must have been the largest in the world before the war. The Angel's Boneyard stretched forever, the skeletons of buildings lying under the hot sun. The Fallout manual is once again being poetic. The Boneyard is located fairly close to the hub, and there is nothing preventing you from visiting this location earlier. The community is quite big. What do they eat? Well, whatever this is, mushrooms? In the heart of the city, there is a great library. Look, people here fall in one of three categories: rapists, murderers, or thieves. I'm a thief, says Katya, and joins us as a companion.
They claim to want peace like us, but anyone who disagrees with them just disappears. Their dark god is not what he seems.
The followers of the apocalypse are the ideological enemies of the children of the cathedral.
A number of our spies have seen Nightkin coming in and out of the back room of the children's temple. Something important is back there.
Downstairs, among the shelves in the followers' library, we meet another Vault Dweller from Vault 13. Talius was on a similar journey as us, sent out into the wasteland in search for a water chip, discovered the ghoul community in Necropolis, fought the super mutant garrison, was captured, taken to Lu, but something went wrong during his transformation, or maybe something went right. He was rescued by the followers. Talius never became a full soup. Instead, he's a ghoul-like mutant, similar to Harold. The Gunrunners. Used to be a gang, now they operate an industrial plant, make weapons. They task us with removing the Deathclaw threat from LA. Our pistol is just barely adequate. Unfortunately, this is where Katya departs from...
This is literally what happens to every single companion in Fallout 1, man. But I think some of mine... I think you can... Yeah, you can give them armor in one. A lot of mine survived because I would reload a lot when they died, and I gave them all fucking power armor or whatever. The best armor I had on hand was... He's not giving them shit. They're running in their basic gear all the time, I think.
Team Vault Dweller. If you talk to her corpse, it'll warn you of the dangers of Deathclaws. Paranormal. That's it. There are 4 Deathclaws in this entire game, unless you get a rare random encounter around the hub. The Gunrunners are impressed. Alright, time to get serious. I put a bunch of skill points I've been saving into energy weapons, buy a plasma rifle from the Gunrunners, and then go to Smitty from the Boneyard, who upgrades it to Turbo Plasma Rifle, the best damage per action point weapon in the game, with the exception of the Easter egg gun found in a rare special encounter. There are 3 ways of...
Fallout 1 special encounters weren't so... It wasn't that bad. If you really wanted the gun and you didn't have to worry about the time limit, you could get it fairly easily. Fallout 2 encounters were a fucking nightmare. I back in the day, I was making a video for my old Polish channel, and I was running around with 10 lag trying to record as many Easter egg encounters as I could in Fallout 2. They just didn't want to happen. The game refused me the special random encounters, even though I had maxed out lag. It was so fucking wild to me. I spent a couple of hours just running around the map. In Fallout 1, I seen all of them before I gotten 2 of them in Fallout 2. It's insane how Fallout 2 nerfed the special encounter rates. Or I am the unluckiest fucking person on the planet, apparently. That push and headburst is so funny, it almost looks like an accident. They must be so rare, I don't recall seeing them in 2. They are incredibly rare. The fucked up thing is there is more of them in 2. There is way more of special encounters in 2 than in 1, and they are still much rarer. I played with a lot of luck. And I have gotten throughout all of my playthrough of Fallout 2, I have gotten the Monty Python bridge reference. It's where you meet a guy in a robe in front of a bridge, and he asks you a bunch of questions, and if you answer them incorrectly, you instantly die. And if you have high enough speech, you can ask him a question and he will instantly die. But that encounter gives you fuck all. It's bad. And the second one I got was the Cafe of Broken Dreams. Cafe of Broken Dreams is an encounter with rejected rejected ideas for the protagonist of the second game, I think. And you can get dog meat from there for your playthrough of Fallout 2, which is incredibly fucking cool. And those are the two encounters I had. You can get the alien pistol in 2. I never got that encounter. I don't know if TARDIS, the Doctor Who like box phone booth, is in 1 or 2, but it's in there somewhere. And like the rest of them, I am just not aware because they didn't happen to me. But there's a fuck ton of them in Fallout 2, and it's incredibly rare to get any of them. I guess they would just assume that you would see them eventually since you would be playing them for so long. Weird to make it so low. I have no idea. Maybe there was a meta reason for that, because like I said, in Fallout 1 it was completely viable to go full luck and wait for you to get the random encounter with the crashed UFO ship. And maybe they were afraid people would metagame in that way. But that's stupid, because you can metagame. There is way easier metagame. You can literally go into the corner of the map in Fallout 2 and pickpocket one of the guards, which is a super easy pickpocket skill check. Pickpocket one of the guards and you get that big fucking gun that he is carrying right now, I believe. No, it's a different weapon. But you get one of the best weapons in the entire game via simple pickpocket. It's crazy. So I have no idea what they were cooking with that Fallout 2 special encounter raid.
Getting power armor. The easiest way is to go back to the hub, rescue a Brotherhood troop kidnapped by the gangsters, and then ask the quartermaster for power armor as reward. Endgame weapon, endgame armor. All right, let's go meet Richard.
The Nightkin came to us a while ago. They might be hideous mutants, but they are extremely loyal to the children, as we all are.
The majestic cathedral building is the seat of power for Morpheus, the leader of the children, and below the church is the Los Angeles Vault, Master's headquarters.
You should see Morpheus, the High Priest.
Devs should never be afraid of people metagaming, in my opinion. No reason to take away people's fun. That is exactly fucking right. I agree with you 100%. And there's another reason. You will never stop people from metagaming. You can try your fucking hardest to patch out all of the tricks out of your game. The player base will find the one thing you missed every single time. Every single fucking time it happens. Like, players are the beta testers you cannot have during development, because there is so many of them and they are very deep into gaming. They will always find some exploit you missed. And by removing a lot of metagame, you punish like an average gamer. There are countless examples of that. What we just spoke about is an example of punishing an average gamer, like they will miss out on special encounters because you were afraid of people getting the alien ray gun early. Payday 3 and Payday 2 to some extent. No, Payday 3 is way worse in that regard. Payday 3 is a game with built-in mechanics to prevent people very quickly getting levels that impacted every single player, while the metagamers are like 5 to 4% of the population. Like, they made the game worse for the 95% of fucking average Joes that were not interested in metagaming, just to spite some guys who wanted to level quickly. That's fucking insanity to me.
I'm sure he can help you much more than I.
Laura is a spy for the followers.
Oh, those are dreadful people. I'm not going to talk about them at all.
I've read that it's possible to get the followers to support the cathedral assault in the same way the paladins support the attack on the military base, but I've never been able to trigger it.
Nightkin? I don't know what you're talking about.
The Nightkin are elite super mutants equipped with permanently active stealth devices. This doesn't seem to have any mechanical effect whatsoever. I guess that gives them a spooky aesthetic. That matters, right? I love when the game simply never stops introducing new ideas. Seems like one of the secrets of a good story.
I forgot Nightkins are in Fallout 1. God damn. I don't remember if they are in fucking Fallout 2. Holy shit.
The unity is our search for a higher level of life, and unity with our fellow man.
Unlike the Master, Morpheus is an LA local, now serving as the public face of Unity.
So you are the Vault Dweller I've been hearing about. Surprised? I have my sources. Now I will take you as a gift to the Master.
This is another shortcut. It's possible to skip a bunch of areas and go straight to the Master. But I see no reason to take shortcuts anymore. The Nightkin are tough and all, but the combination of a turbo plasma rifle and power armor makes us an apex predator. The entrance to the LA Vault is concealed behind a fake wall. Floaters and centaurs, Master's pets and experiments. It's possible to meet them in the desert around the military base, but the only guaranteed encounter is right here, below the cathedral.
I also skipped all of them. I went with the guy.
That's pleasantly...
That's crazy how much of Fallout 1 is fucking skippable. But I did have an encounter with them in the desert, I believe.
Clean vault, isn't it? But I take that back. The lower levels are covered in previously unseen biomass, which is either a conduit for Master's psychic powers or an independent living creature capable of invading the minds of the unprepared. The walls are alive with those who have gone before. We persuade one of the victims of experimentation to give us his psychic nullifier, removing the final obstacle between ourselves and the Master.
I don't remember any of that
Unity
shit.
will bring about the Master race. Master! One able to survive, or even
Thrive.
in the wasteland.
It is, of course, possible to solve the Master problem in a non-violent way.
Don't get cocky now, the Master can crit right through your power armor. I wouldn't know, I never fought him. I just, I love... Speaking with the Master is one of the best things in entire Fallout 1, and I love that you can convince him to essentially kill himself. Not really, I mean he kills himself because you tell him that the super mutants are sterile, which is fucking tragic when you like think about it, but it's kind of funny, he never noticed that.
Wasteland.
It is, of course, possible to solve the Master problem in a non-violent way by presenting Vree's evidence that mutants can't reproduce. But I don't like doing that, because it robs us of a fight with a unique enemy and a Tarantino animation.
Mutants are best equipped to deal with the world today.
Who else? The ghouls? Please. Normals.
Careful, Richard.
As long as there are differences, we will tear ourselves apart fighting each other. We need one race.
Race.
One goal.
Goal.
One people.
Do you get it? It's called having a theme. The game opens with War Never Changes, and then we travel around California and find people at war with each other and themselves. Finally, we meet the antagonist, and he is like, I'm gonna stop all war. But in order to...
It was shocking getting to the Master feeling invincible than getting the shit murdered out of you. The dialogue options I like as well, and I like the reasoning for why they're sterile. Yeah, talking with the Master is... It's not like a plot twist or anything, but it's just... It comes as such a fucking surprise after, like, this entire journey that you made across the fucking coast, right? You come across this this literal fucking Hitler of the New World, or what you assume he is, because he launched this essentially an all-out war with humanity. And you start talking to him and you are like, oh my god, he comes from the most sincere and reasonable place you could ever come. Like, because you were out there. The shit, like, the new world after the war is fucked. There are horrible mutated creatures beyond your understanding, and like regular humans will get wiped by them completely. And of course humans are immediately at each other's throats. And you're like, everything he says about the super mutants makes sense, that he would want a literally upgraded, better human beings, a new race to take over, but it doesn't matter because they're all sterile, which is a fucking tragedy in all of this.
Stop war. He needs to wage war. Hypocritical much? Anyway, that's the point of the story. Or is it? All YouTubers have a paranormal ability to extract profound truths about society, capitalism, and invisible structures of power seemingly from any piece of media. It is as if there is a vat somewhere that manufactures this type of person. And indeed there is. It's on the island of Patmos in Greece. Some individuals, brainwashed by years of exposure to YouTube, think that this is what media criticism is. But no, it's just the albino mutation talking. It's a way of doing things. And for our purposes, it's not even good. In a game like Fallout, the job of the designer is to provide you the tools to assemble the story with, and theming applied to individual bits and pieces doesn't determine the meaning of that story. That is up to you to decide. Or perhaps it's not even useful to focus on meaning. Perhaps we should understand Fallout in the same way we understand another person, in the same way we understand a friend. This is an awkward time to be sharing this, but I'm something of a believer in the unity. The organization has a lot to offer to mankind, and every problem with it is solvable. Look how filthy this environment is. I bet you can reduce the percentage of adverse side effects simply by vacuuming the place. Get a Roomba. Sterilization? That sucks.
You know what? He's kinda right, yeah.
But what if we only converted individuals who already had kids? And look how crude is the procedure. What if we lower the dosages? What if instead of super mutants we made intermediate mutants? You know, get some benefits of mutation, but without the sides. It took a lot of time and labor to build this organization. Unity could have been the Bene Gesserit of California. But that's not the point of the story, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, exactly what I was going to say to the comment in the chat. The Master could have been a good guy if he made mutating a voluntary process to everyone above 60. Above 60 is a crazy age for the World of Fallout, by the way. But that wouldn't be grimdark enough. Exactly, like... There is a place where this story could have been literally a happy ending for all of humanity, but that removes the core conflict. And you kinda need a conflict in your video game. But it's cool that it's there and we can have those conversations, you know? When it comes to Fallout 2, the most prominent critic is the Enclave. There is no saving grace to the Enclave. They are just comically bad guys, and I agree with that. The Enclave is fucking stupid, and their plan in Fallout 2 to like kill everyone by poisoning the atmosphere, was it, I think? that shit is cartoon villain thing to do. Like, Enclave in Fallout 2 is laughable compared to like the Master and his army and what he represents and his plan. But obviously, Fallout 2 has other things going on that are way more interesting than the Enclave, so...
War never changes, but people do.
Can never thank you enough for what you've done. You've saved all our lives. That makes the rest of this even harder.
You can never go home again. The Overseer character wasn't given a name. The voice actor is Kenneth Mars.
Everyone will want to talk to you. Every youngster will look up to you and want to emulate you. They'll want to leave. What happens to the vault if we lose the best of a generation?
Hey, Kenny! It's like I said, human body is 60% water. Now we travel north to Hyperborea. Our body is
like I said, I never understood why the fuck he would even walk out of the vault to talk to you. Just say that shit over the intercom if you'd wanna avoid a situation like this.
Hey, Kenny! It's like I said, human body is 60% water. Now we travel north to Hyperborea, away from the Nephilim miscreants. I'll build my own vault, spread the Neanderthal seed, and just keep putting
With
one
blackjack
foot in front of
and
the other.
hookers.
Alright, patron credits, and then we'll finish the debate about what is better, Fallout 1 or Fallout 2. Give me all your money via the crowdfunding platform Patreon. Do it now. These videos are funded by enthusiasts, including Jim Lawrence, Danny Kilpatrick, Frog, Darkbot Pumpkin, Billy Strayhorn, Yuri Solodovnichenko, Eric Luitke-Hans. My next video will be on Divine Cybermancy, I Feed My Parrot Chicken, Ilya Rubin, Maciej, 1967 Ford Mustang. Source is the best engine.
That's a lot of Patreons, goddamn.
Burgers and crapburgers, your tastes become more and more sophisticated. So, we don't talk nearly enough about this. Art works by making you feel things.
He deserves a farewell in person. Oh shit! Exactly. What was the fucking plan? Like, how else was he... how else did he think a guy in a fucking mobile tank with a fucking plasma rifle gonna react to the... to the news that he's basically banished from the place he's single-handedly saved? Like... Read the room, Overseer.
That's a fairly uncontroversial statement. As you experience more arpagers and crapagers, your tastes become more and more sophisticated, and you require an ever greater degree of stimulation to feel anything. I could never get into Oblivion and Fallout 3 because these felt like they were designed to be somebody's first RPGs. Eventually, I lost the ability to enjoy the early Infinity Engine games, and then I discovered that Gothic 1 doesn't do it anymore. And oh my god, it's your turn, isn't it?
Yes, I guess you could say I know stuff.
When exploring the Boneyard, I caught myself thinking that if this was a fan game, LA would probably have had a unique tile set, and the mapping of Shady Sands would have been much better. And Junktown. Junktown is the blandest of ethical problems. Neither character believes in much of anything. It's like something out of Fallout No. No, wait a minute. Fallout 1 versus the sequel. Let's talk visuals. What makes the classics feel dated is the UI. The sprite work itself is great, especially in the original Fallout. They added new sprites in Fallout 2, but the quality is mixed. Some of them are just as good, others look like they were ripped from another game. Fallout 1 takes this. Now, the music. Going into this, I didn't realize how many of my favorite tracks are actually from the sequel. I never really thought about it, I guess. The NCR theme.
The Fallout 1 has much more somber, subdued, subtle. It kind of feels like it's a part of a background, not as much as a theme of a city or a place. Fallout 2 went a little bolder with the music, I think.
Reno theme.
And that's why it's more memorable. Speaking of old games, I honestly couldn't get tired of playing Baldur's Gate 2. Talk about a content-rich game. I had one try with Baldur's Gate 2. I think I only beat the prologue, and then the game couldn't like hold my interest. But like I said, I was much younger when I was trying that. I keep thinking about going back to Baldur's Gate, even 1, and trying it now for myself after like beating all of the Fallouts, but Fallout 3. Oh yeah, I still need to beat 4. I never beat 4 too. I beat a bunch of 4. I did the DLCs and most of the story, but Fallout 4 is not about the story. Fallout 4 is just about the gameplay. It feels nice to shoot things, and the story fucking sucks so much.
City music. There is variety, and the Fallout 2 tracks.
And the building is nice if you are into that sort of stuff. I just wish things snapped into each other better.
Have stronger individual identities. An easy win for the sequel. A close race. The next category is thematic consistency. An important quality in a game with an
Fallout 1 takes this easily.
Open structure, because this is how you make the adventure feel like a coherent story instead of a series of disconnected anecdotes. Fallout 1 obviously takes this. No talking animals, no gangster city, no Scientology. God damn, I don't want this end in a tie. Look, real talk. It's like this. If you value classic Fallout as a storytelling machine, Fallout 2 is a better game by virtue of it being bigger and having more ideas, more builds, more pieces for you to assemble a story with.
Exactly.
It has flaws, but so does the first game.
Exactly.
Fallout 2 wins. Slava. But I am not your boss. Perhaps you have your own ritual of engaging with this medium. Like maybe you happen to value extreme concision. And this entire playthrough, all the adventures we had, from seeing the outside world for the first time to blowing up the Master, it all took me 10 hours. Followed by 4 weeks of writing and editing. Anyway, take it easy. Remember to stay hydrated. See you in Vegas. If you own a physical copy of Fallout 1, please dispose of it now, as every Fallout 1 box will detonate in 3, 2, 1.
Man, yeah. Fallout 1 was a really cool, really interesting game. I really liked it. I will never replay it. I am so fucking sorry, but some of those encounters like drained me completely. Fallout 2 I would consider replaying, but only if I installed a mod that completely skips the entire like first part of the game, because Fallout 2 has an infamously bad fucking tutorial. Oh my god, does the tutorial to Fallout 2 fucking suck dick. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 are just like Fallout 1 and 2 as far as design goes. It has very similar parallels. That's, I mean, yeah, those are like the grandfathers of CRPGs and like the finest, pretty much, CRPGs examples you can have. So yeah, I will probably like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. I am a little bit, I would need to see how long it takes to beat, because Fallout 1 and 2 are really short games, actually, when you play through them. And the way I played through Fallout 1 and 2 was I started out the game, I did everything on my own, I stayed away from guides or tips or whatever as much as possible. I did all of the side content I could find and I could solve on my own. And when I was starting to get bored with the game, I would immediately come back to the main story and like finish it, because the main story could be in both of those games can be beaten so fucking quickly. It is wild. I am very worried that for Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 this won't be the case. And that I will never finish them because of that, and that kind of sucks. But I will just look up like how long to beat and decide on my own. Okay, I need to really quickly take another break, so excuse me. And I am back. Yeah, I will keep going for like another hour and I already feel my throat fucking giving up on me, so hopefully I will have something to... Hopefully I will have something to edit after this, and the next time I go live, my throat will be back to 100% because like it's ridiculous the amount of time it has been hurting now.
Before we start,
so I will probably skip the Ross Game Dungeon video, like push it down the list and watch those two videos, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Edition and Stronghold Crusader by MandaloreGaming and by Bricky, respectively. Because I need some fucking material to work with. No reason to push yourself when you're under the weather. True, but very true, but at the same time, like I've been under the weather for like pretty much the last month, which is fucking crazy. I hate when you cannot really do, like, all this time I've been doing everything you can do to help your throat recover. I've been drinking tea with honey. I tried to speak as little as possible. Obviously, sucked on the fucking tablets, drank the medicine, and like it feels like nothing is helping. And like I need to do, like I cannot do nothing for 4 weeks, like an entire month. So yeah, this is me pushing myself a little bit, so I have more time to recover later. Like it just sucks that I am missing out on all this streaming I could be doing, because I quite like doing this, and it helps the channel grow and such and such. Anyway, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Edition is so bad I got philosophical by Bricky. I heard it is quite bad. I don't know the details. I wasn't that interested, so... But I mean, it's EA. Obviously, EA would fuck something up, so... I'm very interested in hearing what they fucked up this time.
Before we start this video, I want to thank today's sponsor, Audible. I'm sure you've heard of Audible. They are the best place to find the highest quality audiobooks, not just in the quality of the audiobook itself, but also in the narration and the ease of use of the platform. In particular, they have a wide variety of excellent thriller and mystery titles, whether it's on a walk, maybe you're going to the gym, or like myself, constantly painting miniatures. It's always something to kind of really get your spine tingling as you're painting something or building something, and then you kind of stop for a moment and think, oh. In fact, considering that we're all Warhammer pills here, one of my favorite Warhammer thriller mystery books is called Bloodlines. It's a fantastic Blade Runner noir-esque cop story about a really rich lady whose son went missing, and yet, while they can afford an entire private investigation force, she goes to the normal schlub-like policeman guy and doesn't really seem to care much about why her son's missing. Intrigue. So if you want to get started on your audiobook journey now, go ahead and go down in the description to audible.com/Bricky or text Bricky to 500 to get going on your audiobooks now. Thank you very much for sponsoring this video, and let's talk about that game.
The only thing I heard about Star Wars Battlefront Classic Edition is that it takes so needlessly like such a large amount of space on your fucking drive for no reason, given that it's, you know, the classic Battlefront games.
I want to make this extremely clear. Watch those wrist rockets. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Watch those wrist rockets, or I'm gonna be watching you. And it won't be a pretty sight when I find out you are some kind of clanker sympathizer.
What?
Well, that was a kind of strange announcement, wasn't it? Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, the originals, being staples of my childhood, much like the real staples, and they, like that store, faded into irrelevance with time. Battlefront was at the height of my Star Wars fandom. I was young, loved the prequels because I was young.
I don't like Sans.
And mostly adored the video games that came from them. Jedi Starfighter, Republic Commando, Jedi Knight, Bounty Hunter, Pod Racer, Rogue Squadron. I played that shit at the YMCA with those controllers that had the giant, stiff, bendable rubber casing they used to lock it down at a GameStop and other places. Star Wars was my entire childhood, not just from a cultural thing, but also from the entire video game point of view as well. And I look back at those flawed movies and games with a lot of love, especially considering the best thing modern Star Wars has put out is a television series about the random side character who dies in Rogue One. That being said, Andor is really good. One way out. But Battlefront 1 and 2 were at the fore, bringing us a huge volume of diverse locations, battlefields, and my personal favorite, the space battles, where you had to destroy various spots of an enemy capital ship from the outside or board them from the inside. Clone Trooper Bomber, my beloved. So I'm genuinely surprised that to such little fanfare, the remaster collection of the first two games, including brand new maps and heroes, is coming to Steam and console for roughly $40. This is being made by company Aspyr, who appear to have done various other collections such as the two.
I never understood why big companies like will take a guaranteed hit and not sink everything into it. You know, you will make bank, why cut corners, especially in regards to servers. That is why. Because it's guaranteed profit, they feel like they need to put in as little effort as possible, and more importantly, the least amount of money and resources to guarantee the biggest returns. And they actually are fucking stupid enough to not realize that putting in more money would get them more profits back, because that's a risk compared to putting as little money as possible. They're just very out of touch and fucking stupid. Is basically the answer.
Raider remasters and updated titles for the modern day. It seems that their main job is to bring up old titles to modern machines and standards, as well as do development work here and there on mainline titles. So, I'm stoked. And I don't think nostalgia entirely clouds my vision here. I remember the game playing pretty well, having somewhat annoying voice lines.
Command post under attack. Command post under enemy control. A command post is under Confederacy control. Hostiles have gained a command post. Watch those wrist rockets!
But having great variety and class choice on both sides. But see, this part of the script is being written and filmed before the game has been released. I have a busy March, you know? I'm going to PAX East in Boston. I'm just trying to get ahead of my work. So I'm past Bricky, but I'm gonna hand this off to future Bricky and we'll see what he thinks of the re-release.
You have to admire the naivete, you know. there is something precious about having that. He still had that glint in his eyes, you know? Good times, huh? Weren't those, Bricky, when you didn't know? The innocence of. The innocence, the blessings of ignorance. Ah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Buddha, please. May Allah save my soul. What the fuck is this? Where's the justice in the world? Where sinners run free? Turns out Turns out I love talking about games with overwhelmingly in their reviews, red or blue. If you haven't heard by now, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection is basically the worst product that has come out in 2024. This might even include the terrible asset flips that are dumped on Steam simply because of the emotional damage this product has caused me. When I heard that the Battlefront games were coming back, I assumed it would be a version of the usual remaster, because with games this old, that would make sense. Bring those bitches up to 60 frames a second minimum, allow it to be 1080p resolution, also minimum, and allow it to have more streamlined options menus, and like, that's it. The minimum that can be done. But while I want to ask where from the depths of hell this product came from, hell is only a word. Reality is much, much worse. Do I create, does creating create like a private game, or does creating create like a game? Because this looks like I'm creating a private game. Oh God. Okay. I guess maybe I thought they would kind of, I didn't think that we would actually, this would be like it was 15 years ago. I thought there'd be a little bit more clearing it up a bit, you know? Okay, I have to, is there an add all? There is not. I have to add each individual map one by one. I had the wrong idea. I thought that I was playing, not really a remaster, but like, something modern. I am playing a port. This is a port. Oh, chat. Bricky, what did you expect? Guys, what do you mean, what did I expect? This isn't normal. It's the same game. It's literally the same two games, including the same menus, the same game creation, the same graphics, the same fucking frame rate. Oh, but thank God they added the console exclusive heroes to the game. Thank God we have I Can Make Her Worse added to our collection. I have this level of rage built up inside me that wants to be released, but I can't find a good outlet for it because it's saying the same thing over and over again, which is, it's the same game. But luckily for me and you, dear viewer, there are even more ridiculous things that somehow, over the course of 2 decades, they managed to make worse. For example, while the original games have extensive mod support, including custom servers, patches, and more, the new collection does not properly account for any of those and therefore are completely worthless. Secondly, do you know how large Star Wars Battlefront 1 is as a game? 3 gigabytes. 3. Trace. Son. Do you know how large Star Wars Battlefront 2 is as a game? 4.3 gigabytes. Would you like to know how big Star Wars Battlefront Classic Edition is? It's 50 gigabytes. 50 gigabytes listed on Steam. When fully installed, it was 63 fucking gigabytes. 63 gigs for games pushing 19 and 20 years old. This product is 8.6 times the size of itself. It's even larger than Battlefront 2. The new one. It's larger than Elden fucking Ring. Miyazaki could fit at least 2 more swamps before this hits 63 gigabytes. And thirdly, this is an immense pet peeve of mine. Despite not adding basically a single new change to the options menu that's actually worth a damn, they did add a streamer mode. So they added one. Lovely. There's a streamer mode. For the uninitiated, streamer mode normally does things like hide your name, IP address. Well, you normally hide your IP address, but you know, sensitive information in a game. But most particularly, it hides your name in the video game so you're not hit by stream snipers. It's a combination to keep you safe and the people watching your stream and people trying to kill you in game. Pretty simple stuff. It also normally does something else, which is remove all copyright music from the game so you don't get struck down by the hand of God or worse, Disney. So if you're wondering why all of the Battlefront gameplay here is quieter than a church mouse, it's because they couldn't even do that right. And the game, like in the original, plays all the main themes you remember.
So what does the streamer mode do then in the game? Yeah. Well, like,
Such as,
what the fuck does the streamer do? Does the streamer mode do then? What?
Confrontation with Count Dooku, Imperial March, The Last Battle, The Wampa's Lair, Carbon Freeze, and Battle of Heroes. Don't forget Return to Tatooine. I know the names of these tracks because YouTube flagged all of them individually in my stream video on my second channel, which I co-stream at the same time as my Twitch. Check it out. We play lots of fun games that aren't this dumpster fire and games that know how to remove copyrighted songs in the streamer mode of the game. Sam Lake, that hack, at least had a goddamn setting for it in control, and you didn't do it in your re-release of two 20-year-old games. I'm going to piss my pants. I'm gonna shit. My jorts will never be the same. And the icing on the cake, the final bit of this whole disgusting pile is that the game is $35. $35 for two games stapled together at 8.6 times the file size, no upgrades of any kind, and for two games you can still buy on Steam for substantially cheaper and with real mod support. You are paying...
What is the fucking point of this? What's the point of this collection? What's the point? What is the... What's the sell, right? When you sell a product, the product has to do something. Like... When you sell a remaster or a re-release or a remake, you have to say something, right? Like, this game remade the Lightning engine, right? Or the textures are higher quality, or the game is completely remade from the ground up, so it looks modern, you know. Star Wars Battlefront Classic Edition is literally, you get those two games as a single package, even though you can already... Steam probably has already something like that. What the fuck is the reason to buy this product? I don't understand.
$35 for an inferior product and the privilege to only click one game on Steam instead of two. Brilliant. Actually, how much are the two games on Steam? So, hold on. Star Wars Battlefront Steam. Classic 2004. $9.99. How about Battlefront 2? $9.99. It's $20 for both games that are still on Steam right now that are superior products to the two games that have been stapled onto each other, and they charge an extra $15. They didn't even fix the bugs.
I think I was getting bullet drop, which I can't really blame them for because that was just how it was, I suppose, but... What? What? What?
This sent me into a spiral. Like it's a mentally damaging spiral. It's not a loop, it's a spiral. Like the whole product is shit, don't get me wrong. But when you look at the Steam page, advertising...
Cash grab, I guess. Maybe it was one of those weird rights disputes where they were forced to make something or else they would lose what was in the dispute. Every Fantastic Four movie was made for that exact reason. What the fuck? That's so weird.
In the game, nothing there really says that I was supposed to get what I wanted. Play the Star Wars Battlefront games, online and offline, in this definitive collection. The classic collection includes bonus maps that were only like console based at the time. Fight on the ground with all expanded hero roster, Lucasfilm's logo. That's it. That never did they say this was an HD remaster. Never did they say that it was fix the bugs or anything. They technically did not lie. And yet, and even though I want to call it a scam, I can't legally, because legally the word scam carries weight. So if I actually said it, I could be liable for dick and shit. But God, does it feel like it's a scam adjacent? We're off script, by the way. I don't have a script for this part. We're gone. We're flying off the seat of our pants right now, okay? Battlefront is the game you would remaster. Battlefront 1 and 2, the new ones, you know, the ones that were released by EA later, they've got their problems, don't get me wrong, but once you sort out all the weird loot box crap in Battlefront 2, like, that game hits. Not only is it a hit, it's got the good music, the big scale, all kinds of character options and different hero customization and choices, and it looks really good, it sounds good, and it has a shockingly high skill ceiling for some really good plays and players. Like, those games are good. And if you're going to remaster something like the old Battlefront games, you'd want to give it a genuine ass facelift. You know, you took two games and then you stapled them together, did basically nothing but gave them the old heroes from the console stuff, and then charged $15 more for it. That's what happened. They launched with 3 servers and no one could play. Maybe because they were realizing this was going to be a colossal failure, so they didn't rent out any goddamn servers for it. You know, I'll give them credit where credit's due. They were right. So it got me going down this whole rabbit hole. What is a remaster? Because when you think about it, you've got remakes and you got remasters, okay? So when I think of like the biggest remake of remakes, you think Final Fantasy VII. That is a remake of a exceptionally old game that is just a totally different video game. It's a different combat style, visual style, often different dialogue. It's just a completely
adjusted for the type of audience you would want today with like modern mechanics. That's literally the best way to do a remake because it's a different game from the original. So it doesn't invalidate it. In fact, a lot of people played Final Fantasy VII Remake who never played the original, and they went back to play the original to see how it feels, or to complete the story because the story is incomplete now, as of now. That's a proper way to do a remake. Resident Evil 2, another example.
Different game, but it's a remake of that kind of original thing. Then you have below that, remake, but still very, very faithful. And that I would go with something more along the lines of Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 2 is a bit more in the rebirth camp.
It is.
The game was
it very much is.
That stock camera angle Resident Evil style thing back when they changed the third person. Resident Evil 4, obviously, the original was a third person action horror and the new one is too, but it's still pretty darn faithful. You have the same characters, you have the same villains, a lot of the voice lines are the same, even if they do take a little bit of, you know, a little bit here and there with it, but the actual gameplay of the game doesn't have as much of a massive departure as a Resident Evil 2 or a Final Fantasy Rebirth does. Then you have your more traditional remaster. We're gonna bump this game up with new visuals, and that's about the farthest we're going to go. To me, I think of this like Halo 2 Anniversary Edition. The Master Chief Collection is its own thing, but Halo 2 Anniversary is a complete remake of Halo 2 with a better graphics, crazy new visuals for all the cutscenes, but the dialogue and the gameplay and all of that is just about the same. It's basically an identical game, but with a huge visual facelift. Then you have your just bump the graphics up. That we're thinking along the lines of The Last of Us remakes, and then also the Mass Effect Remastered Trilogy Edition. The Last of Us remake actually came with a lot of other impressive things like new options menu, accessibility features, some good stuff like that, but for the most part it was just a visual facelift, and that's all it was. Mass Effect Trilogy basically did the exact same thing, and last but not least you have what could basically be referred to as a port, or just bringing something up to modern hardware. I think of this like the Master Chief Collection, you know? Halo 3 and let's say Halo 4, also Halo Reach, all these games got a little bit of a graphical thing. They went from 30 frames to 60 frames or more, which is fantastic, and they also are able to run at, you know, 1080p minimum. But the biggest and most important thing is now you can play it on PC with its own matchmaking style. That alone is worth its weight in gold for a lot of people. Being able to play
exactly
Halo CE matchmaking in its own right, back when that was only some horrifying LAN network Ethernet cable abomination back then, that's enough. So we have these various types of remakes. The full one for Final Fantasy, the mostly full one but faithful for Resident Evil, the Halo 2 kind of rebuild, and then the more uplift, facelift ports, etc. So what the fuck is this even? This is not a port, because these games are already on PC. And
exactly like I said, there is no, like, you cannot even make a case for this collection. It doesn't make sense to buy it at all.
Already on Steam. This is not a graphical remaster because it's the same. It's literally the same. It looks the same. If there is a visual or frame rate increase, I did not see it. It doesn't add better options. You get your streamer mode, but that's worth dick. And that's it. That's it. I don't really ask for more rules in today's day and age, but I gotta feel like there should be some punishment for this. You're not gonna get anywhere with like a legal system, like, oh, this is against the law because of what, we're going nowhere with that. But Valve, god damn, I feel like there's gotta be some kind of precedent set here. And I think that's one of the reasons why in that whole Steam chart, there is no lie being told. You know, you weren't tricked. We all thought it was something more than what it was, but the fact that what it was so dog shit still makes me feel like I was scammed adjacent. For legal reasons, this is a joke, asshole. So there's a bit of a lesson to be learned from this, I think. One, double check that your remake, remaster, whatever the hell this thing is actually what you say it is. Two, maybe we should talk to someone about this. Maybe someone should get in trouble for this. I would like someone to get in trouble for this, for making this decision. Remember that Unity guy? That guy who was like, we're gonna charge you for using Unity even after you paid your dues or whatever? That guy worked for EA apparently and wanted to charge you for like reloading your gun in Battlefield, and they fired him for being too greedy. I feel like somebody here needs the same treatment. And just, you know, goddamn, there are so many remakes and remasters that are coming out right now, and a lot of them are worth the salt. There's definitely this issue, and this happens a lot in Hollywood too, where so many different movies are just being like, this is the old IP we had, let's pull it back, let's pull it in, let's use that old thing we had. And you're getting tired of the bringing it back to the old days, the Michael Myers redone Halloween movies. But sometimes when you do that shit right, when you genuinely give it the attention it deserves, it can be pretty good. I mean, Final Fantasy VII right now is hotcakes. Resident Evil 4 was nominated for a ton of Game of the Year awards last year, which I am maybe a little unsure about with the concept of like, is a remake worth getting that? But it was so damn good that I just kind of said, I swear to God, I've gotten to the point where Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection is so bad, I've gotten philosophical. What is a remake, truly? Huh? What is truly a remaster? Because it ain't this. Star Wars Battlefront, the original, they're great games. Genuinely, they're incredibly good games. When I was playing this horrible piece of crap, I was actually having fun. Not because the collection was any good, but because it's Battlefront, and Battlefront's great. It's classic, arcadey, fun Star Wars gameplay. And the fact that Battlefront 2 is no longer getting any kind of update and it's just kind of there to slowly die whatever death it's going to reach in a couple of years is pretty sad. And the fact that these games can't even get a genuinely real remaster is heartbreaking. For all the issues they had on launch, Halo the Master Chief Collection is an incredible piece of video game preservation.
True, very true. I will never say a bad thing about the Master Chief Collection just because I could play all of the Halo games on PC.
from a company that normally doesn't care about that kind of stuff. It is a shitload of Halo games that run on modern hardware.
I also can never understand how people like that greedy dude can keep falling upwards. It's because if you become a CEO of a company, you cannot fail. There is no way to fail as a CEO. As soon as you get fired, you get a severance package that will set you for life, and another company will come and offer you a job just because you... I don't know even for what. He was a shitty CEO. How the fuck is he getting a job? It's ridiculous. Probably mostly because CEOs are kind of fall guys. So if your company takes a big hit, if you fire them, it takes a lot of attention away from the shitty thing you did as a company. And part of why they get paid so much is that they tank the hit to their reputation or whatever, right? But it doesn't fucking matter because they keep getting jobs, and their reputation among like gamers and people who consume that media doesn't fucking matter what we think about them, because they will keep getting the jobs. It's capitalism, and its consequences for the human race have been a disaster. I truly believe the CEO position in any company is redundant, and you just shouldn't have people like that. They are there to be blamed for failure and nothing else.
That have good UI systems, that are not too expensive, and have active working matchmaking. It is the standard that I think a lot of games need to hold themselves to, especially considering how many of them are arriving and just dying immediately afterwards. The Battlefront games are being kept alive by a dedicated fan base and a modding community, and that's about it. These games deserve a real Master Chief Collection style thing, and I'm very worried that we're never going to get it. So, sucks for us, I guess, the consumer, again.
Yep.
For the however manyth time. That's all I got for you today. Just a philosophical rant from Bricky, because the inner nostalgia and excitement I had for this was crushed. Thanks for watching. Next video will be better, I promise. Next video we'll get more into the fun stuff. I'll see you later. God damn! Come on!
Yeah, that's you know, that's just what being a consumer is. It's you have no impact on the thing you consume for the most part, and that fucking sucks. That truly fucking sucks. Remember when that Warner Bros, I think, as in their branch of that makes the video games, right? Remember that they said they're gonna focus on live service games after Suicide Squad, the video game, after Gotham Knights, and like comparing all of that to things like Arkham Knight, Arkham City, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, for example. Like, you compare all of those superhero games, the ones that are live service, like Marvel's Avengers, Suicide Squad, Gotham Knights, even though that one was kinda okay, it was fine, whatever. You compare those to the purely single-player experiences like Marvel's Spider-Man 2, fucking Arkham Knight, whatever. And the company looked at them, looked at the profits, looked at every data they have, and they said, we're gonna focus on live service superhero games. What the fuck is happening with this industry, man? Jesus Christ. That microtransaction money must be fucking crazy for them to even consider this. I don't get it. I truly don't. But like, but I don't think like fucking. I don't know. I don't think. I don't think. Suicide Squad made the fucking money back. I don't think Redfall made its money back. I don't think all of those live service games like truly made their money back. So I don't know why they. I don't understand. Live service makes money and games as a service a ton of retention for players. That's true if they are executed correctly. Like Payday, for example. Destiny even is a shaky example, but it works. You know, Apex, Fortnite. All of those games, sure, they are great examples of that, but those other companies keep making shit. They keep making fuck all, shit all, piss all, the worst thing you can imagine. And they somehow that cannot be more profitable than a good single player experience that they can deliver. They proved that. They literally delivered good single player experiences. I don't believe for a second that Suicide Squad made more money than fucking Arkham Knight. Like, there is no way. They also made me realize a great deal of the Total War community wants them to do a live service model because they will play one campaign for 200 hours and call it bad because they're now bored. Yeah, kinda true. Kinda true. Okay, one more video and I'm done for today. MandaloreGaming, Stronghold and Stronghold Crusader HD review. Like I said, I played those games when I was really young. They were really popular in Poland and had a hilarious Polish dub. But I remember very little of them. I remember I think they're kind of like Age of Empires, like city building and unit making and shit, but I don't remember them that well. That's why I kind of wanted to refresh my memory with this video and see if any of that hits, you know?
Wolves are attacking, my lord.
The advisor was always so like monotone and almost bored, even when he was announcing that you're about to fucking lose everything you built.
We await your orders.
After finishing last year off with some interesting games, I figured that I'd start the new year off with something lighter. I said lighter. Okay, there we go. This is Stronghold. It's a castle simulator and a real-time strategy game. The original Stronghold came out in 2001, which was then followed up by Stronghold Crusader in 2002. There's also another one, but
I am way more familiar with Crusader.
We'll save that. Then in 2013, all of the games were released in HD. Well, sort of. They added widescreen support, fixed some bugs and compatibility issues, but it wasn't a visual overhaul or anything. I'm alright with this. It was cheap price-wise. If you already own the original versions on Steam or GOG, you got all the new ones for free. So this was more like getting a nice patch out of nowhere. To give some background, I got this for Christmas in 2001. I actually still have it. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but back then the game took me by surprise. Because if you play this game on Christmas, the game knows it.
Merry Christmas, my liege.
But it goes even beyond that.
Greetings, Lord Mark. Greetings, Lord John.
I tried a lot of names. Stronghold knew just about every one.
Greetings, Megadeth.
Yeah, I looked and there are a lot of names here. It's not essential or anything, but it is pretty neat. Anyway, let's get started.
It's better integration and more names probably than that stupid fucking gimmick from Fallout 4.
Life in the old castle. Happy times them were. The people were all so much friendlier.
The intro sets up a darker, dirtier, more true-to-life view of the Middle Ages. Everything is dirty, all the people are sick. We're not opening up with a classy chess game and a nice castle. This sets the game up for being grittier.
Oh yes, and then there were the neighbors.
So is Stronghold a dark, gritty game where hard choices will have to be made? Well, not really. But yes, a lot of people will die to fire. That part is true. Right from the menu screen, you'll find that Stronghold has a lot of game modes. There are combat maps, economy maps, and of course free build. That's not even counting the map maker. It's not on Warcraft 3 levels, but what's here is solid. There are still tons of custom maps out there to download. Still, if you're brand new, you'll probably want to start with the military campaign. It doubles as the tutorial, introducing new mechanics with each mission. So for the time being, I'm going to focus on the campaign. The story is very simple. You play as the son of the king's advisor. Your father was killed by mystery bandits and the king has been imprisoned. Now the inbred version of Dead Cell rules the land and it's up to you to stop them. The narrative doesn't have any complicated themes or really anything noteworthy. The writing and dialogue is also very simplistic, but it's clearly aimed at kids, probably between 10 and 12 years old. The campaign never outright says what age—
That's a weird age group to... That's a weird age group to aim for with a fucking strategy game, but those were different times. Young gamers back at that time would try fucking anything to see if it's a good video game. And like I said, strategy games were not off the table. Strategy games were very much actually the hotness, which was crazy. Like Civilization, Age of Empires, Stronghold was so popular amongst kids. Fucking kids! Imagine that now! Imagine trying to push a strategy game to fucking people who play Fortnite or Apex Legends daily. That is insanity, man. Maybe they saw how kids loved Age of Empires. I forget exactly when the Stronghold came out. Yeah, like basically the entire thing I said sums it up. Strategy games back then were really fucking hot, man. Different times, completely different times.
But it's heavily implied you're way too young to be doing this. Enemies will refer to you as a child. So for me, and probably most of you, it's not worth getting into. It would be like me turning on a show made for little children and complaining that it's not stimulating me enough. To give an example, there's a character called the Snake who looks like this, and has a catchphrase.
Relax. By the time we return from our hunting trip, the problem will have resolved itself. Trust me. Show some backbone. My contingency plan is already in motion. You'll have your county back soon enough. Trust me.
There's a part in the game where you make a bargain with him. Do you think you would buy a car from this man? Or a hot dog?
Duke de Pouce wishes to meet us in this valley surrounded by cliffs. It looks... It's a trap! Sir Longarm was right.
You get it. Admittedly, the
Yep, when I was a kid, everyone played and loved Age of Empires Total Annihilation and others. I'm blacking on the name. Yeah, Red Alert also. How could I fucking forget? Red Alert was also hot as fuck amongst the youth. That's so crazy. I never like stopped to think about that. Like how, like strategy games now are old man games pretty much. So weird how that completely flipped.
animations for the characters are a lot of fun, and the voice acting is fantastic. While the characters are one-dimensional and predictable, they bring such enthusiasm to the role that you want to see what happens with them next.
And it's not like there weren't any hot FPS games around, right? Like a lot of people played Quake, Unreal Tournament, whatever. But it's like fucking crazy that you could, with the same group of friends, you could jump from doing insane fucking trick shots in Quake or in Unreal Tournament, and you could hop on a game of Age of Empires, which took like, or Heroes of Might and Magic, which took like fucking weeks to complete. Man, that was such a fucking incredible time to be playing games. Jesus Christ.
It's unbelievable. I'm running out of counties and they'll be coming for me next. I'm doomed.
Will suck dying much pain. I pull out teeth, cut off toes, break knees. Most fun I have for a long time. How did you do? Did you hunt down your prey?
When you hit him with the alpha male wolf growling. Man. I wonder when and why games specifically changed. I don't get it. They straight up, there were just better games back then. And it was always about the quality of a video game. Like the game had to be good to be popular. There weren't any games that were popular and they played bad. Around mid 2000s to especially late 2000s, like 2008 and above, 2008 and above, games went from being games to being a spectacle. Assassin's Creed is the best example of that. Assassin's Creed 1 fucking sucks dick to play. But it's a neat idea. It's a neat spectacle, you know. And like we hit that point where games went just changed like that. Also, competitive game genre grew. It was always there. Like Counter-Strike was always there. Quake even had competitions, you know. But like at some point, competitive genre like overtook the strategy games share of the market somehow, and like they started pushing those games, and now it's a lot of stagnation. We get the same games, battle royales, FPSs, competitive shooters. Like how many fucking strategy games are coming out now, man? Civilization? What else? I guess a new Age of Empires came out like back in the day, but most now it's like some indies, I guess. There was just more variety, I feel. Like, I genuinely feel there was more variety in games back in the day. Like, unironically. Uh, Esports has a lot to do with that, for sure. A lot of developers balance their games now actually for the competitive scene specifically, and not for the actual players who make up the vast majority of the player base, which is, it makes the game way less fun and more competitive, which naturally makes it way less enjoyable for a casual fan. Hi there, Stars. I mean, not your fault. Like, a bunch of my last streams like didn't happen, so because I was sick, I explained at the beginning of this stream. So anyway, back to the Stronghold.
I don't believe it! I'm surrounded by idiots! How can you have beaten my troops?
The pig addresses the people of his newly conquered county.
Your realm is mine now, so do as I say. All will pay a high tax and live a life of pain.
You know what? The pig has some pretty good ideas. I won't write him off yet. Now, if you want to save England, or maybe America, you'll need to build, collect, and fight your way to victory. Since we're already on the subject, let's talk more about the game's presentation. Like I said before, the HD version doesn't overhaul the graphics, but they really didn't need to. I think the sprite work has held up incredibly well. All of the different unit and building types are sharp and easily distinguishable. Buildings also have cross-sections, so you can see all the workers doing their thing inside. This is a game where your tiny village can become gigantic, and you'd think things could get cluttered up, but it never happened to me. The visuals are detailed enough to look pleasant, but not so much that it starts getting confusing when your town gets busy. Most of the buildings have these 3D animations and sound effects and tell you where the workers are. It makes it simple to see what's going on at a glance, rather than needing icons or menus everywhere. It's very clean. All of the buildings have a lot of different animations. In most RTS games, someone just whacks a tree and then brings the Minecraft blocks home. Here you see them chop down the tree, bring the logs home in trips, and then refine them into planks. Then they drop them off in town. And here comes the local Fletcher. He turns the wood into bows or crossbows and then drops it off at the armory. Besides being some neat detail, it also shows you how efficient your city is. If this guy is hobbling across town, something's wrong. Some maps can be more confusing, so you do have the option to flatten buildings and also flatten the terrain. This is good for planning out your street layouts and also for fights that get too confusing. The HD version also added a zoom out feature. This is great for the bigger maps, not so much the smaller maps, and it's a good addition. You can rotate the map, but some buildings will rotate with you.
Man, I really barely remember. I really barely remember playing this game, but those are some really neat fucking features. I wish were in other strategy games I played. Glad to hear you okay now. I'm actually not okay still. Like, it's my throat. And yeah, that's why today's stream is not gonna be that. I'm just gonna finish this video and go. I've been sick for like 3 weeks and a half now, and it's not going away for some reason. But I ran out of things to edit for the channel, so I would have recorded this anyway. So I thought I might as well stream it. The fact the villagers have lives that produce weird things as they go about their job was so cool. Yeah, I remember Pharaoh was like that too. And that fucking city, ancient Egyptian city simulator. That was really fucking cool part of it. Always appreciate details like that.
You're given a lot of tools to help you tell what's going on, but sometimes it's just not enough. Some maps can feel like playing a tower defense game. Well, it kind of is. But I had situations where I thought I was plugging up holes, then the enemy comes and it's like, oh, they can walk over those rocks. So that can be annoying. Sometimes you want to make a building but someone is wandering around there. Well, you have to wait for them to leave. It's also worth mentioning that some units have way choppier animations than others. It's the one thing I wish the HD version had updated. Still, those are my only gripes with graphical and building stuff. As for the sound, I want you to meet the advisor. His voice is burned into my brain.
Cite your granary, sire. Our granary stocks are growing, sire. Our treasury is emptying.
It's almost a problem for me. Not only do I hear him when I see him, but if I see, like, a similarly hooded man, I think of him. While there's nothing really stand out about the sound effects, the voices really stick with you.
Wood needed. Wood stocks are too low, sire.
Can't place that there, my lord. Can't place that there, my lord.
Double rations. Great.
No taxes is good taxes. That's my motto.
The callouts are, once again, a good way to keep tabs on things without using menus. Sure, you can easily check, but you can also click on a peasant.
We have so much food nowadays, I'm getting really fat.
The soundtrack is great and changes based on what's going on. The music seems authentic for the setting. Period-appropriate instruments with a dash of Gregorian chanting. When the chanting comes out before a mission, that's when you know it's serious. Uh-oh. Onto the gameplay. Most of the single-player game modes have a difficulty. These adjust a few factors. For example, if it's an economic mission, you'll need to gather more materials. An easier difficulty for a siege attack gives you more troops. If it's a siege defense mission, then the attackers will get less troops. So thankfully the difficulty doesn't adjust the stats or efficiency of anything, just the quantity of them. The game is still fairly relaxed on the normal difficulty, and on the hardest, it makes some maps a decent challenge. You don't need to radically alter your playstyle for a harder setting. You can somewhat divide Stronghold into the city building and management side, and the real-time strategy game side.
These features are what stopped me from going back to Age of Empires for a while as a kid. I really missed them, especially when it came to fire physics. Sieges were great in multiplayer because you could kill the villagers making the supplies, and you would know your opponent has limited soldiers since no new gear would be made. Yeah, that's always great in like resource-based games where you could hit the backlines. I remember, like, man, in StarCraft kinda had that to a lesser degree, obviously, where if you killed a bunch of fucking drones collecting resources for your enemy, even though you didn't kill like any of his buildings or offensive things, like, he would really feel that.
The military is dependent on your economy in several game modes, so I'll talk about the management side first. Also known as getting into agriculture. There are two keys to survival. One is that your lord must stay alive, and two is that your city must stay alive. Now, in order to attract new slaves, you need to attract persons with freedom disability, you need to have some amenities. These are the
workers, peasants, the working class, you know.
Dark Ages, so food is a good starting point. You can eventually get people happy through advanced methods like religion, getting everybody hammered, and entertainment. Of course, people might slack off if there's entertainment. You could build a garden, but OSHA hasn't been invented yet. That means you can put Winnie the Pooh dangerously close to the children's maypole. Now, he could get tired of the Shakira routine. It's possible he might be fed up from work and then feed up on villagers in the town center. That's what we call a bear market. Disregarding the finer points of economy, if your popularity is high, people come to the castle. Actions people don't enjoy include starving them of food, raising the taxes too high, and not preventing home invasions. Those make people want to leave the castle.
What the fuck is happening outside my apartment?
You don't have to just make wholesome entertainment. You can also build bad stuff. These will scare people, but make them work harder. When I was younger, I would only build a single gallows. I thought it would be for criminals and quick. Now that I'm older, I understand mankind's depravity more. I've opened up some more options. It's all about maintaining a balance between popularity and efficiency. Because on one hand, sure, making wheat into bread is the most efficient food source, but it takes a lot of materials and workers to set up. It needs a lot of space and time and special farmland for the wheat. All the bakeries, you're gonna need a lot of bakeries. And people are happier if they have a variety of food. I've been to school. Depending on only one food source is risky. It's up to you to figure out how to balance it all and account for any disasters. You can't make booze if the hops are ruined. No cheese if the cows die of disease. Well, we could do something.
Here comes the cow.
Don't forget about the rabbits. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and you should prepare. Rabbits can join the invaders for all I know. Things could look fine, then it turned out a woodcutter led 5,000 wolves home. Don't let him eat the boss. These aren't Age of Empires wolves, these are Stronghold wolves. They're relentless. They're evil, smelly wolves who litter and have soul patches. They don't deserve life.
Always ready. No problem.
There always seems to be something to work on, whether it's trading in the market or fortifying your town more. It's not the most intricate game compared to other city managers, but what's here is solid, and it's fun to see all the components moving. This is where military units come in. You need a free worker, money, and materials to train them. So to expand, you need more housing for free workers, weapons manufacturing centers, and of course, ways to get more money. Then there's the castle building itself, like constructing towers, drawbridges, traps. Keep caged up war dogs, make emplacements for fire arrows, and even put siege weapons on the big towers.
Why isn't this in the game?
So once again, the building and management part is great, but let's talk about the combat. It's refreshing that every unit in the game remains useful. Spearmen are weak, but they can push away siege ladders. Crossbows penetrate armor, but don't fire nearly as fast as regular archers. Swordsmen are very slow, but can dish out and take a lot of damage. Macemen are fast and can break through the armor of swordsmen, but you need a lot to be effective since their armor is very weak. So it avoids a rock, paper, scissors formula. That part is really interesting. In a siege, you can use tunnelers, fill in the moat, build different engines that use different ammunition types. Combat has so many options. The biggest problem is the control and the pathfinding. Troops only have 3 stances. There are no formations, there's no attack move, there's nothing that a lot of basic RTS games had in that time. The result is moving groups of units at once can feel very clumsy, and then during that you start getting pathfinding issues. It's especially bad when you're trying to climb up a wall. Check this out. Right here I'm putting a siege tower on the wall. Except even when it's down, I can't order my units to just climb on the wall and attack everything around them. I have to click on a specific person to get them all up there. It's the same thing with ladders, and that is a very strong man, by the way. The thing is, after about 10 to 15 seconds, the game will let you climb up on the walls or behind the walls with a regular movement. This is annoying when you're dealing with a lot of layered walls, and you will be. When the units actually get on the walls, then combat plays itself out. The AI is also afflicted by some weird pathfinding. The AI makes a lot of bad decisions in general. They don't charge at once, but send their units out in waves. Like here when they send vulnerable units out. Or here when they charge ladders with archers, and archers probably aren't going to be climbing the wall. There could be a reason they don't all charge, and I suspect it's due to the most powerful unit in the game. You've seen it already. In most RTS games, fire is just a damage indicator for a building. Not in Stronghold.
Need some muscle? What?
There's really nothing like having questionable pathfinding.
That's so fucking cool that you can just burn the enemy's army down.
And invisible fire traps. It's insanely effective, especially when your enemy will still walk single file into it. At least now I'm inside past... Nope, it's here too. If this game has a meta, it's fire. I really don't know what else to say about it. It's incredibly satisfying to pull it off, but when it's done to you, man.
Let it burn!
We have survived the enemy's onslaught.
There's no real counter to it besides trying to bait it out. Once you're caught in the fire, it's between you and God. That reminds me, this game doesn't have a single player skirmish mode. I'm gonna guess that the AI couldn't handle it, but I know a game that does have it.
Greetings, sire. The desert awaits you.
Stronghold Crusader was sold as a standalone game, but it's more of an expansion pack if you've played the first game. Our setting has moved half a world over. The game now takes place in the Holy Land, a time when religious Europeans looked towards the lands of Christ. They looked, and they didn't like it. This time around there are 4 campaigns with 4 missions each. They're pseudo-historical events rather than the story of the first game, which is fine. Like the original game, it's mainly for teaching you the mechanics and the new stuff. The original game had lots of siege maps and invasion maps to play around with, and Crusader has none of those. Instead, there's a campaign of 50 skirmish missions and a bonus campaign of 30 more. And you could set up a standard game of it with your own parameters. What the first game lacked is now the main game mode. Then again, they still have free build. Most of the buildings have a new look to reflect the setting, and that goes for the units as well. There are also a handful of new buildings, but the biggest change comes from the new units. They're Arabic mercenaries. You only need free workers and gold to hire them. This means you can rush in the first seconds of the game. However, some units like slingers are effective in groups and cheap to recruit, so you can counter a rush by giving your people rocks. Some of the new units are just worse versions of their European counterparts, but hey, you can get them out quickly. Then you have the more interesting ones. You can now use the harassment plague of horse archers. Assassins are the first sneaky boys in the game. They can only be detected from close range and they climb up walls. If they stand on a gate, they'll open it right up. This is a cool option for punishing someone who is overextending with walls. The new units are the biggest addition, but things were changed in other areas as well. Let's look at the presentation. Some of the old UI icons now have color. Alright. Of course, the biggest change is the environment. It's a lot more obvious where you can plant crops now. It's also worth mentioning that a lot of these maps are much, much bigger than the original game. Some of them are meant to accommodate 4v4s. The new desert landscape makes resources easily identifiable. It's nice, but unfortunately my biggest problem is still here. It's still difficult to tell what's going on with the cliffs and rocks. You still need to be extra careful with walls. I do admit that it happens a lot less often compared to before. Most of the maps are much better about it. The spirit of the character performances has also carried over. In fact, they might have turned it up a bit.
A message from the Caliph.
Remove your army from sight of my castle walls at once! Watch your back, knight! Watch your back! You have not seen the last of me!
Okay, I remember that specific voice line, man. In Polish it was Pilnuj swoich pleców, rycerzu. Pilnuj swoich pleców. Oh man, the Polish dubbing for this game was fucking hilarious. Stronghold Crusader was also very moddable. If you didn't like the look of the new walls, for instance, you could just replace the sprites. That's very fucking cool. From what I remember, Crusader is like the more popular one, right? Than the basic game.
A message from the Lionheart.
The smell of victory is in the air, my friend.
Then you have the new music. This stuff is good.
Those are some nice tunes, goddamn. I really need to go back to this game and like play it for myself, because like just looking at it doesn't bring back too many memories. I don't know why. It's been like such a long time since I played this.
It is not common for a game to get a Middle Eastern soundtrack. The production values are excellent. Sometimes the songs are complemented by the European music, and sometimes it goes the other way. I find it fascinating to listen to, and it complements the visuals perfectly. The gameplay has gone through a rebalance. Some buildings produce ridiculously faster. Alcohol and religion give significantly more happiness. Now you can utilize bad stuff more to increase efficiency. Or you could squeeze out some insane new tax rates. Fire traps are much rarer, but there are new units that can cause fires. Except that now you can build a well. Now when there's a fire, Jerusalem's bravest can go out and take care of it. Your people will still give their life to drop off some cheese or bread, so you can't save everybody. Overall though, the pathfinding in AI is a lot better. The army is still lacking mechanics and the buildings still can't make rally points. But the AI and pathfinding improvements are great. Yeah, it's still clunky, but combat is more fun and you feel more in control. The original Stronghold is still well worth checking out. It's definitely a more relaxed game compared to its successor. Some people just consider it a tutorial for this game, and I can understand why. Crusader turns the game into an RTS with a more in-depth economy. The combat isn't a game changer, but it's improved. I do wish that you could properly play the forces of Allah, but you all share the same pool of stuff. So consider it an expansion of things you had before, rather than something entirely new. So despite their flaws, these are solid games, and I'd recommend— I forgot.
Greetings, sire. The desert awaits you.
Okay, Extreme is like Crusader, except now you can have 10,000 units.
10,000?
Yeah, 10,000. You can also use powers anywhere on the map, which charge from this bar over here. Summon some knights. Get rushed by hundreds of enemies at the same time. Be an angry D&D DM and drop rocks on people. Hey, wait. The rocks didn't even hit him yet. Are these hit scan rocks? Brave the Crusader Extreme Trail. I can only beat 2 of them by rushing assassins. My victories stopped pretty quickly. There's this one map that's a 3v1 and the enemies never stop coming at you. This might be one of the hardest RTS games I've ever played, and probably for all the wrong reasons. I tried an extreme random map and that was interesting. Someone out there said, what if the computer wasn't covered in lions, but the player... What if the player was covered in lions? They're sleeping. They're sleeping next to the spawn. I've just started the game and someone's dead. I sure wish that I could live over there where the lions don't live.
What the fuck is this a mod? Is this like an official add-on? What the fuck is this?
I can't do it. I can't look at it. What do you say about something like this? This was sold at retail 6 years after Crusader came out. It's included in the HD version for free now, so who cares? So that's Stronghold.
That's so weird.
I never bothered to try the sequels. I think it holds up nicely, and you can get it cheap on GOG, Steam, or a lot of other places, I think. I could recommend them, the first especially, to just about anybody. So, I'll see you next time. Thanks for everyone backing me on this for reasons I don't understand. I appreciate it. Announcements, might not be a good idea. Alright, more videos to come soon.
Suction! Okay, and that's everything for today. Yeah. This tingled some of the memories, but not quite enough to my liking, so I'll probably have to buy the game for myself and play it in my free time to maybe try to dig up those memories. Super cool and unique strategy game. God damn, I forgot what a different focus this has compared to something like Age of Empires, compared to something like Civilization, compared to all those other strategy games that could feel a little bit samey. This is a completely different vibe, I think. And yeah, that's actually cool. And yeah, thank you for joining me. More things to come as always. Thank you everybody in the stream. Thank you for everybody joining me on the stream. As I said, I don't think I'm gonna be streaming much more unless I completely make a recovery, because this is putting a strain on my throat. So yeah, I'm just gonna sign off, go get some medicine and go get some rest. Thank you very much for joining me, and yeah, hopefully I fucking recovery after all this time. Jesus Christ. And see you around.